Calling all retro gamers.
Calling all retro gamers!
Calling all retro gamers!
Calling all retro gamers!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Calling All Retro Gamers, your bi-weekly excuse to come out, hang out with us. We've got a special guest today. It's Ballistik Coffee Boy. What's going on?
Hello, how you guys doing?
Welcome.
We're hanging in there. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Before we get into all of the things, we normally just do quick intros, talking about some stuff and, just general chat, saying hi to the chat also. So before we jump right in, we got to say hi to Lloyd Argent. What's going on, everyone? Hey, how's it going? Philip Morning. Hey, welcome in. Mr. Shua, how's it going? Martin Loves Gaming. Hey, how's it going? And Luke's Awakenings here. Hey, how's it going, man?
I like
Welcome
that.
all in to the show.
Yeah.
So as I get some other stuff prepped in the background, hey Ed, man, how's your week's been?
Busy. And last week was busy. Actually, I'm glad we moved the show today because it's always nice to get out and talk some stuff. Well, not really get out, still in my house, but talk about retro stuff and things. So been doing good. I'm glad we were able to have a guest on. It's always a lot of fun here. And for those of you joining us the first time, this show is the excuse for me and Rich to stay in touch and just chat it up everything retro and video game related. Or if you're listening to us and not watching us, you'll hear us talk about it. And I guess the most exciting thing is the shirt, a Blade birthday present from my brother-in-law. I also usually gets me shirts. I got that, and I also have like a Super Metroid. And I was actually torn between which one to wear, but I'm like, I'll wear the Defender.
I'm glad you wore that one.
I thought you guys would like this one the best, so that's.
I like it. It's Atari, so.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I always wear the Pitfall one when we have a guest for some reason because I know people like that one too. But I'm like, pick this one. So things are groovy.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I'm in convention recovery mode. Went to Too Many Games 2023 on Friday. Had a great time. It was a pretty awesome experience. We're gonna have some story time later about that. I'll get my convention report to you guys about all the cool things that are there and whatnot. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of like just trying to relax before the deluge over at work. It's been crazy. I was gonna
say somebody's also a fan of like Panda Sub and probably knows a little bit on that. So that's awesome.
Yes,
sure. I guess if you consider Chatting Bastard debating, sure.
Why not?
Why not?
No fights here. But
yep.
Hey, what's going on,
Thank you,
Sean?
Mr. Shaw.
Nice, very cool.
Oh man.
So, what do we want to roll into first? Because there was some news we could talk about. There's some.
It's kind of funny. I was off. I took the day off of work today and tomorrow just to relax because I just graduated from grad school last week after 8 years of being in school, and it's been a long journey. But so I've been relaxing a little bit. Thank you. I've been relaxing a little bit. I took today and tomorrow off, and today I spent half the day just making Atari news because this kept coming out, and I was like, I just planned to go to walk my dogs in the mountains, and I took them down the street, checked the mail, and came back. I mean, but every time I turned around, there was like Atari news staring me in the face, and I was just like, So sometimes I love it, but it also, if I don't put it out, I won't be able to.
Right.
I had to take time off of work to put out these news lines, and now I'm finally getting paid 5 cents for it or whatever.
Nice. Hey, real quick, Rich, like somebody who met you.
Because congrats on the 1K also there, Ballistik.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
But
congrats
also, yes,
all over the place.
Julia, thank you. Thank you for being one of several people to come up and say hi at Too Many Games. It was really awesome to meet all of you guys. And Julia, if I'm not mistaken, is part of the group that, they came up and they wanted to take some pictures, and we had some cool conversations and everything, and it was really awesome. It was really awesome to see people hanging out there. So thanks for that.
That's very cool. Maybe someday I'll get recognized at a convention. But that's
for sure. You never know, right?
That's the one thing Ballistik will see. Like we like jump around like all over the place.
That's totally fine. I don't like Evercade, right?
Yeah. Just don't bring it. I was saying,
I like it.
Yeah, unlike the Evercast where we derail the show every 5 seconds.
Just don't bring up the what is it, like the hot dog debate? Is it a sandwich? Is it?
Oh my goodness.
We haven't had that up like in a long time. You need to this Saturday just because. But anyways.
Yeah. I'll just immediately start the show with like, so Crow, let's talk about Portillo's.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Portillo's in California?
Well, there's Portillo's in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay. There's one in California too. It's a chain.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Is it the same one?
I think it is actually, or at least the same family.
Like Italian food and pizza and stuff.
Yeah. So, Portillo's in Chicago it's a hot dog place.
Oh, yes. Okay, I've heard of that.
It's just all hot dogs all the time, and it's Chicago style dog, and you got like the relish and like the other stuff in there. It's like it's pretty good. It's good stuff.
I was thinking of like Petrillo's, which is a restaurant in LA. It's like a chain out there, I think. Yeah. It's kind of close to. Kind of sounds the same, but it's not.
See, I can talk about food. I've already had dinner, so I won't get hungry.
I know.
Stuff, yeah. But yeah, no, it's
people aren't here for food talk. But see, Oh man.
Very cool. Very cool.
But we will get into the topic. I think we should get to know Ballistik a little bit first, and then we can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Dive.
Let's dive into talking and getting know a little more about Ballistik Coffee Boy. So, Ed, do you have any questions of?
Yes. And actually, this will be a first because I want to say with Super TurboGrafx 64. Like I think we got into this question like 45 minutes into the. sometimes that happens. So no, this is just. I mean, again, we have guests and people don't want to pressure with a bunch of questions, but so this question I'll take credit for that I came up with. That I feel it's like I'm like, what would be one question we could ask somebody and get to know them that would be like appropriately retro? So here's kind of the question, and I'll give an example. So it's kind of like, it could be any time, like throughout your life, could be any time through your childhood, like kind of like what would you say like is like the retro game that either like defines you or like inspires you, where you can have an aha moment. Like for me, like share your mind for an example was like the original Legend of Zelda for Nintendo, because back there's like the first game where like you're thrown into this world, you have to figure out what to do, you can bomb, and there's cool secret passages, and you just had to figure this out or like ask a buddy. And so that's kind of like my question, like what's your retro game that defines you? Or
I love this question because whenever Legend of Zelda came out, I was 13 and the NES was huge, and my parents were poor, and my dad actually put it on layaway for me, the NES. And we went without food for a few weeks even. And I was like, that's how poor we were. And I got the NES, and then he got me Legend of Zelda. And I was just like crying, I was crying for like weeks. I just loved it so much. But yeah, and that was kind of the second kind of awakening for me was that game. And you guys aren't going to believe the first one. There's a couple of ways I can answer this. The first arcade game I ever played when I was 7 was Kicks. And it was in a Safeway in Bedford, Texas. And I walked up to it, and my mom put a quarter in, and it was vibrating. It was like wow, 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 wow. And I was sold, and it was sticky because it was old, and it had been there forever. That was probably the first arcade game that really started it. Now, the first home console game was probably, don't hate me, Pac-Man 2600. Because when I was 7, that was Pac-Man to me. I didn't know any better. And I played the hell out of it, and I still love it. And I know it gets a lot of flack, but I mean, as a 7-year-old, I really couldn't discern that it was that different, and I was just excited to have it in the home. And me and my dad actually went and got it on launch day at this, it was like 80 2 or 3 or something, and it was a grocery store called Skaggs Alpha Beta, and we waited in line for like an hour in the heat, and it was like $40. I remember it was $40 after tax.
Wow, back then.
Yeah, that's like $80. So and then people also got playing games are expensive. They were the same price. I mean, really, right? So that was like $80 back then. So right. But I know there are many more games out there that might be better, but that's the first one that just took my heart. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I like how you gave an arcade and a con. Like, there's no wrong answers. But no, I was there with you because 2600 was my first console. And I had Pac-Man. To me, it was Pac. As a kid, like I didn't.
It's a little different now. We're older and we can see that. Oh yeah, you're.
Yeah.
But it still has that nostalgia factor, and I still love it. And then I turned into a big Pac-Man fan and Atari fan and Nintendo fan after that, and but I mean. And then the other phase of that, of course, was Legend of Zelda 2. I just fell in love with it. And my cousin Andrea and I, we were like 13. We like made our own comic books. We drew pictures. We were all into Zelda. I called the game counselor so many times I got in trouble. And I love that game. It's one of my favorites.
Dude, so. I'm glad that you bring I'm glad you bring up Zelda 2 because I don't know why that game gets so much hate. Because for me as a kid, I was like, okay, bird's eye view of Link. It's a sequel. Now it's a side scroller. Like, to me, that was kind of an upgrade. Like it made sense. And I can remember like loving that game as much as hating it just because it was challenging. Yeah. But I got to a point where I enjoyed completing it as a kid, and every so often I would. I don't. So like, the funny thing you mentioned that, I don't know if you watch or heard of like a content creator, gaming mistress. If I can talk.
I think so.
Yeah, she just recently put out a video like her favorite Zeldas, and like the first one that she picked Zelda 2, and then of course like Zelda 64, and I can't remember the other one. But I know a lot of people's are also like Link to the Past, which that I did enjoy that one. But yeah, Zelda 2 never gets enough.
I was gonna say I actually meant the first Zelda. When I said 2, I meant also. But I have to say that Zelda 2 is it's one of my favorite Zelda games. Not my top favorite, but one of my favorites because I think it's so underappreciated, just like you said. I freaking love it. And at the time, it was so different. Some people didn't like it. I still like it. And the ending of the game is really surprising when you realize who you're fighting, right? The last enemy. I don't want to give it away, but it's kind of shocking who you fight. And but yeah, it's one of my favorites. But the first Zelda is kind of what I was talking about. That first game just kind of, it was just the end of the world to me. It was just so great, But I mean, Zelda 2 is in my top 3 or 4 Zelda games of all time. I still love it. There was so much build up to it. I loved it.
Yes.
I lost myself in it. And then, to hear and everyone these days likes to say Link to the Past or, which I get it. Ocarina of Time, they're great games. But the one that I remember the most is the first 2, and just amazing. And
what's neat too about what Zelda 1 is, I like, what do they call, like the second quest, whatever, like when you beat it, it was the same game, but stuff was in different spots. And not too many other games had really like, had really done that. So that's kind of another cool thing. But yeah, it's Link to the Past I'm conflicted with because Super Nintendo, some games started to get easier. And that game, like they would have like bomb here, but it was just a lot of fun, right. but it was by far like an easier game. I was going to say the funny thing, like I like a lot of sequels to things. So for video games, like the 3 trifectas, like Zelda 2, Mega Man 2, Street Fighter 2. There you go.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The best.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and for me, like, well, not to go off on another tangent, but for me, like Mega Man 2 is like, of the Mega Mans is my favorite.
Yeah,
I guess same with the Street Fighters, but yeah, no, it's
kind of funny. Whenever Zelda 2 came out, I thought I was done calling the game counselors. So when I and then, after the end of Zelda 1, when you have the second quest, I was calling the counselors again, and then when Zelda 2 came out, I was calling the counselors. No wonder my dad had such an issue. It was probably like $20 a month or something back then.
Luke, I'd missed that. He said caused his family to have a $300 phone bill.
Oh,
back then.
I saw that earlier.
It's rough.
I would have been murdered. there's no doubt.
Yeah,
I would've
that's-
been-
that would've
I
been-
would've had to like hide.
I was like hiding in the bathroom behind blankets to hide from my dad. That's how bad it was. Like,
You know what's funny? Because like, so for the if there are young folks or people who are tuning in, there was like a point in time where like on landline where like long distance was a big deal. It's not like now, or like, you know, depending on plans, like if you called like after 8 or 9 or on weekends, and so like calling places was a big deal. It could be like a quarter a minute, it could be 50 cents a minute, $1, you know. So like you'd always have to like ask, and all that. Oh, by the way, Ballistik, if you want them to see you typing in the chat, that's just the private chat to us.
oh, okay.
So they
I
can't
thought-
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And StreamYard is dumb like that. So
I
if
feel
you,
like
you'll
a
have to
old
open
man.
another YouTube tab. So I just didn't want to think you were talking to
Oh,
yourself.
okay.
I just
Yeah,
didn't-
Yeah, I have been. I have been. No,
He's being so nice, saying hi everyone, hi guys, and probably like, why isn't anyone responding to me saying hi?
I just want to just say I appreciate everyone coming. I have lots of friends here in chat too. Mike Tendo Power is a great
Yeah.
friend of mine. I've watched his
Yeah.
channel
Oh,
for a long
nice.
time now.
That's awesome.
He was one of my like original first people I started watching. And then
That's really cool.
Mr. Shua is a great guy. Ian Hobbies on Evercast. I
Yeah,
recognize
man.
him from Evercast. Phantom Fiction and Luke's Awakening is one of my best YouTube buddies.
Oh,
I
nice.
actually interviewed him for this coming Monday. Him and I talked for 2 hours the other day. He actually
really cool.
reviewed every single Atari Jaguar game and CD game.
Oh, that's
and-
awesome. Yeah, I remember
mean,
that series.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't review it, but he like played a little bit of each game.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
should say. And so I had him on the show to talk about his impressions, and it turned into a 2-hour thing because we're best friends and I never talked live, you know.
Right,
So
right.
we sat there and we were just freaked out because we're like best friends, and then Sean as well is a great friend. So
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, we've had Mike Tendo Power on as a guest.
Yeah, it was one of our first guests here. on Golden Retro.
Yeah.
he's so cool. I love his channel.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
yeah, he's a good guy. He's a Texan like me too. So,
Well, and he's got that, you know, like when he does his box opening, he makes a reference to my favorite horror series of all time. So it's pretty good. Anyone that rocks the Michael Myers mask is good in my book. So
Yeah. Yes.
it's like,
Yes. Yeah. Real quick, Mike, since you're here, and I think like he did one episode like where he talked like the whole time like in that distorted voice, and it was like it was funny, but it was like too much. So, but I, you know, it was more just like really weird. But I love though how he does different things, and it's fun to see like his open all his box. I must open every box. What could that be a reference to? You know, the gaming monthly things and
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah.
I have a feeling a lot of people tell Ed and I we're too much, but we don't care, right? We don't care. We're like whatever.
It's all
that's who we
good.
are.
Yes.
It's all good.
Oh my god. Well, we're all a bunch of characters, and we've all like found each other in this crazy
never
retro
too much.
world. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh. But no, good stuff. You know what? It's funny. Like, so during the story, one of the things you touched when you said like how the arcade cabinet was like sticky, and I'm trying to think back as a kid because I think like honestly, like I do remember that, but I think I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like nowadays it'd be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, because you don't know how many people have done that. Like back then when you could like smoke or people like, you know, putting up like drinks and like all that type of.
One of my favorite memories is whenever our dad took us to Hawaii when I was 4 in 1979. He chain smoked on that airplane and drank Jack Daniels after Jack Daniels. And I remember when the plane landed in Hawaii, there was as much smog in Honolulu as there was in the plane for my dad's cigarette. Like it was like fog. He smoked so much on the plane.
Dang.
And the airports, you know, they didn't even have smoking sections. You could just smoke wherever. And then years later, we had those scary little boxes that were thick with tar and old ladies who couldn't talk and wheelchairs, and it was scary, you know. And
yeah. No, I remember on the planes like that where it was kind of like it didn't really matter, like smoking, you get an ashtray, but I don't know if it's there anymore, but at least like in the Vegas airport or right when you got off the plane, they kind of have this like clear, it's almost like kind of like a glass cage, like there's slot machines in there, but it's like it's just covered in smoke because it's like it's just kind of like it's just like a death box of smoke.
Yeah. I've been in there. I dropped my family off there. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh, in the Vegas airport.
Yeah.
I've only ever been there twice, but it's just like it's so wild. You just get off the plane. It's like no other airports like that. It's just what is happening.
It's weird though, because every now and then it's rare. Like you'll be outside at a park, and if some if somebody is like smoking, it just kind of like hits you like wow, like because like you just like you're not not used to it. So yeah, all good stuff. And I'm dying to hear about this like 700-800 game, which will
so much news came out today. It was the past week.
Yeah, we can hop into that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we should hop into it before these people lose their minds over here. And I totally get it. I'm excited too.
Oh yeah, no, it's hype. It's hype. I mean, like Atari has come back again, and it's like, oh, we were quiet for a couple weeks, and you're starting to get lulled into a little bit of a sleep. Like, oh yeah, there's drops coming out on the store, but no like news, and then they're just like bam, bam, bam. Here's some more. And it's heavy hitter stuff too. So before we start talking about the thing that dropped today, this is the first time that I actually am going to be able to geek out about the other recent news that dropped. And I'm going to pull up I found the article on Destructoid
cool.
about the 2 new games that are coming out later on this year.
Do they have any trailers out?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I'm imagining. So what Atari does usually is they'll release it like about a week or 2, maybe even a month ahead of time, and then it'll be like this is your like first look trailer or whatever, and then there'll be a launch trailer the week of the release, and then like that kind of thing. Okay. So let me pop open the article here. We're getting 2 new games. Let me move this over here too. Let me do one of these guys. Let's see here. There it is. There we go. We're getting Quantum Recharge, which is crazy. And another haunted house.
Another haunted house?
And the haunted house is actually like really, really like interesting. Because it's not like I thought it was going to be, like because on the Atari 50 they did that kind of like reimagine like 3D kind of thing.
Yeah.
Haunted house. They do. But look at this.
That looks like a dungeon crawler.
It's like right. It looks it's like an isometric. It's almost like Diablo house.
More of a style roguelite. Okay.
It's really, really cool. And then, like they're talking about unlockable characters and Easter eggs and all sorts of other stuff in this thing. I'm like, that's cool.
That looks neat. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that at all. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. I'm really excited about Quantum actually a little bit more.
Yes.
Just because it's a arcade game from '82 and it was a vector game, and I actually like it, and so I can't wait to see what comes out for that. I'm excited about both, but I'm probably a little more excited about Quantum just because it's something different. And it's an arcade game that I like a lot. Yeah, I like the fact that like okay, we're getting some more recharged. Like they're continuing the line. It's also very awesome because. They usually do those in 4s and sets of 4s. So like, with the existence of Quantum, there's more. And I read here in the article, Megan McDuffie is attached, which means more awesome beats. Yeah. I was just going to say, she's going to have volume 3 out now, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I got the other 2 volumes. I'm ready. I'm ready for volume 3. Yes. But you're right about the recharge too, PCB. Like they're always really fun, and each one of them again shows that like Sneaky Box is really growing as a developer. They're doing really, really strong work, and I can't wait to see their take on this because as they do that, like as they grow, their fingerprints are now on these games.
Yeah.
Their styling for gameplay is actually like really, really, really nice. I agree, Jerome. I don't think they failed on a recharge yet either. I've enjoyed every single one of those games, so I'm very, very excited to see more.
I forgot about Caverns of Mars.
Yeah, Caverns of Mars was really cool. It was really, really fun. Also, by the way, hi to Tim's Tiny Arcade, Chris, Atari Creep. What's going on? You're welcome in. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting times. And now I want to see. Now I want to see this in motion, right? Yeah, like we have all the screenshots,
Right?
And then, like now we have the tease, and they're going to be later this year titles. So probably that like that back to school quarter, September, October, November is when these are dropping. And again, that's usually the cadence. You find out about the existence of the game about 2 or 3 months before they are going to do their marketing push, which is about a week or two before the actual game releases. So it's not too long we're going to be waiting for this, but then we also know if history does repeat itself, that 2 or 3 weeks after this game gets released, they're going to drop another, like whatever the next one is in the series. So well into 24, we're going to be fine on the recharge front.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I was putting out my Atari newsline about this today. Well, the first thing I put out was about the newsletter.
Yeah.
Because Atari started a brand new email newsletter called Atari VCS Insider, which us Atari geeks are all like excited about, right?
Yeah.
And, especially VCS and current fans, right?
Right.
And so I made a newsline about that just on its own, talking about that. And then while I was making it, I also talked about this. And oh my God, there's Pete. Hey, Pete.
Hey, what's up, Pete?
And he's awesome. I love Pete.
Yeah,
Great channel. Great guy as well. So I was putting out that, and then I had seen news of, I had seen some news come out about these games. I was like, oh, okay, let me put out one about these two games. And then while I was making my newsline about Haunted House and these games here we're talking about, then I heard about the 7800 homebrew by Bob DeCrescenzo. And he was actually on that Atari show last year, about 8 months ago. And he is a dev that has made over 25 games for the Atari 7800 on Atari Age.
Ooh.
And over the past 20 years. And he's so humble and nice and gracious. And I've just never met anyone like him. He's very, very, very kind. You know what I mean? And like a little more than kind, right? Just very, very nice and humble. And he was on the show about eight months ago when we were talking, and he was telling people to go to Atari Age. And recently we heard about the Atari Age also stopping to sell the unlicensed homebrew games a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And this kind of links up with what was announced today with Bob DeCrescenzo. His game is coming out on the VCS failsafe. And it's a 7800 homebrew based on countermeasure for the 5200. So I heard about that, so I had to do a third news line today.
Yeah,
that's
right?
all day talking about Atari news,
I was gonna say Creep, because there's a new Haunted House that's kind of like it's a stealth type game, and it looks like very much like Diablo, like that's cool. And then there's this homebrew game here that Ballistik is talking about. But yeah, all new Atari stuff.
Yeah, just
yes, thank you. Oh, you know what? That's exactly what I was gonna say. Because there is so many aftermarket games like that. I want to see that. Yeah, thank you, Phantom. I want to see that too.
I would buy it immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you own what are you like us for the Evercade where you collect everything, or are you selective in the?
Well, I started in the very beginning, and I got the first kind of pack with the first few games when that came out, the first kind of edition that came out with a few of the games, and I've been collecting them ever since. I've got every single cart. I don't have the purple handheld, but I've got everything else.
Sure.
So I just couldn't afford it. I was getting my first house at the time. So I couldn't.
Well, that's not important at all. No.
Yeah, and they watched my account like a hawk, so I couldn't do it. But I've got everything else. I freaking love the Evercade, and that's also why I'm a fan of the Evercast you guys do. I've been watching it now for over a year or more, maybe 2 years. I just love it. It's great. And
well, thank you.
I look forward to waking up every Saturday and watching, and it's like my Saturday morning cartoon replacement, like you guys have heard before. And and yeah, it's I love it. So
dude, that is so awesome that is so awesome to hear. Something we look forward to as well. And but yeah, no, just kind of like the OG like black handheld. Like I don't have that one either. I didn't bat, which that would kind of be, and who knows how much it sells. You don't have to have everything. I didn't get the Duke Nukem one or whatever. Do you do any PC gaming, or do you have like a Steam Deck? Or
I don't have a Steam Deck, but I do geek out on old PC games in the box, like actually running on like Windows 98 itself.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
And I started a series about that called Java Junction a couple of weeks ago, where I'm going to be talking about old computers and upgrading them and stuff, and running the actual games I find while thrifting, playing them on an old computer.
That's really neat.
Very, very cool. No, I asked because like for me, it's funny because like for me, like I mainly play like indie, indies and retro games. Like I don't even like play like AAA games. I'm like, my battery life is fine. I don't know what all you crazy people are talking about.
Me too. Yeah, I know. I have great battery life. So.
Yeah, like currently, like roguelikes are one of my like favorite type of genre, or games, because they give me like the thrill of a score chase and to like keep playing again and working. Yeah.
The new Haunted House is kind of billed as a roguelike game.
Yes. Yeah, that excites me. Like Atari roguelike, so okay, so what's the 7800 game? Because I feel like I'm the only kid in the room who did, because I saw that you tagged me and I was like, oh, yeah. So yeah, let's. Do you have any screens of that or anything?
Let me see if I can actually because I know that there's stuff on YouTube. Let me see if I can just like grab.
It's on Atari Age as well, where it was sold since 2010, I think. I saw a bunch of information on there with Bob talking to everybody about updates and there was a box you could get with an actual cart as well.
Ooh.
On there, but they're gonna stop selling those games in like a month as well. So
yeah, and was that a license issue with are people actually coming to Albert and saying, hey, you got to stop? Or I
think what's happening is Albert now is going to start publishing some of these games is what's happening. Like I think he has a hand in Failsafe maybe coming out.
Got it.
So I think that's what happened was there was a change, and then what's really great about this, guys, is I think now we're going to start seeing the floodgates open with homebrews for the VCS.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And that's kind of happened the past few weeks with John Hancock's with his friends games he put out and with this game. So I think we're going to start seeing these games come out, and it's the perfect system for 7,800, 5,200, and 2,600 homebrews. It's perfect. So I think it would be. And then they could also release these on Atari XP. And they're doing that with Mr. Run and Jump also. They're actually putting out the first physical cart for a new game in 20 years.
Yeah.
With Mr. Run and Jump. So they're starting that already. I think they should do it with all of these homebrew games. I would buy them,
Yeah, why not?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And even if they don't make it to the Evercade, I'm hoping that after they're on VCS for a while, that they do make its way to Steam.
I'm sure they will. Atari usually says yes to licensing, right?
Yeah, because here's my whole thing, especially with the Steam Deck and all that. So Steam, kind of like the VCS. I mean, it's spoiled me in that you buy the game, you play it, you don't need to do anything else, you download it, right? So I get for some of these games, either the ROM is free or you can buy the ROM. But for me, I was like, you know what? Just sell it, but make it so I don't have to download and emulate. I mean, there are other ways, just have it be make it so I can just install the program, give the artwork, have the achievements, then that way it's always there. I've just been kind of spoiled to where either I have the physical copy on Evercade or I have it on the Steam store, so I don't have to go anywhere else. Don't make me jump through a few hoops. And some Atari games do that. I'm like, but some of them not. But I'm hoping that they do that, either if it's part of a collection or if it's a la carte, $2.99 per game, like that. I'm happy that John Hancock did that, and he said I'm not trying to get rich. He priced it perfectly, and I think it's great. When you see some of these games that are that under $5.
Yeah,
And
actually, I actually heard from the dev for those games. He reached out to me on Atari IO, and I can't remember his name right now. I feel terrible about it, but he reached out to me and was talking to me, and he actually he's been working with like John to get his games out there. So John published the games, whereas this guy is the dev. And I've been talking to him a little bit about maybe coming on that Atari show, but he's got some other games too he wants to put on there. So it's I can't remember his name right now, and it would take me too many clicks to get to it. So I won't put y'all through that. But yeah, he's I just started talking to him the other day, and he saw my posts on there and was talking to me, and he was like, and he actually told me I had no idea that these games were on the VCS, because he and John talked about putting them out as a cart. So John's basically making money for him, which is cool.
Nice.
So, yeah. And so I was like, that's nice. So
I'm hoping that one of the indie developers, it's funny, we always call this Evercast too, but I'm hoping that one of the indie developers that we find in October is John Hancock's collection, because it's not just Atari. There's Genesis, like there's a few other like cool ones, and I think like when he did that, I commented, I said, dude, you've got to do an Evercade cart, because otherwise, like, there's people like me who either don't have a way to play. Like, otherwise, I'll never get to play it, or maybe I could get the ROM, but I'd like to play it on a console and pop it in there. And
definitely,
plus, like, the cool thing is he has like such a great like character, like drawing of him. Like, I could just like imagine that like being on the on the cover in the front of the thing.
He's the I was glad he put these out, because he's kind of the perfect Atari ambassador, as it were. To put, he's been on YouTube he's had a channel at least 12 years. He was on that Atari show as well.
Oh wow!
And so was Rich. And we had a great time, and I have to have you on that at some point, but yeah, it was great, and it was fun. I like talking to all these devs, especially the older devs, like Bob DeCrescenzo was on. We were talking about. I also had Rob Yeager on, who did Montezuma's Revenge. Whenever he was 15, that game was on the Atari Program Exchange, and it kind of changed his life overnight, type of situation. Because he said back then there wasn't a team; it was one person doing everything. So he made the game, he made the art, he made the everything, and it just kind of got picked up and got put on every console, and that was 40 years ago. So Montezuma celebrates its 40th anniversary this year too. So
nice.
But
very cool.
Oh, so I was able to grab some footage of Failsafe. So I'm gonna pop that up as we're chatting here.
I know it's called a spiritual successor to Countermeasure on the 5200. So it's pretty similar to that, from my understanding.
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually didn't. I never played Countermeasure because I didn't really have a 5200 growing up either. So
yeah, me neither.
It's like a different form of combat, kind of.
This is the game, everybody. No.
Yeah. There we go. I mean, this is pretty rad.
Yeah,
very cool.
I was looking for videos earlier, and all I could find were like the top 20 homebrews for the 7800 or whatever videos.
And
I didn't see videos on their own about this, so I didn't have time to go peering for it because I was putting together a quick video.
Yeah.
So I just showed screenshots, but it's actually good to. I haven't seen it in playing until now, actually. So
this looks
nice.
This looks pretty cool. So I guess we're gonna have to. There's got to be like some kind of like key or something that'll show like.
Yeah.
What all the colors of the turrets
a legend
mean? Or, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, drums like this looks like Countermeasure. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's based on it. So,
did this use the upgraded sound chip? Do you know if that was a thing?
I don't know. I think it probably did if Bob did it, because he was always kind of upgrading games for the 7800 and doing the best he could to make it as sound and look as good as it could. So I'm sure it does.
Yeah, because I know that was one of the things about the 7800, right?
Oh yeah, because, I did have a Pokey chip.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you wanted the good sound, you had to solder the sound chip onto the ROM of the of the game, because of course Atari put the 2600 sound chip on the 7800.
Man.
Yeah, I was reading about that or watching a video about it, and they, it sat on a shelf for 2 years before it came out.
The
So
7800.
and I talked to Bob Baker Shenzo about this.
Mm.
It was ready it was ready in 1984 or 5.
Yeah.
And because of the crash and other things Atari was going through, it sat on a shelf for 2 years. Now, one of my friends locally said it was being beta tested in California for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then the crash, the kind of after effects of the crash, and then when it came out, they kind of had to throw it out there, and they had made a lot of sacrifices to get it out there for that price. So one of the sacrifices was the sound, and so that's kind of what happened. In order to stay competitive, it was actually competing with the NES at the time, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
Which would be hard to beat, right?
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
No, dude, I can remember as a kid, because then once even though the 2600 was my first system, once I saw Mario, I remember kind of like laughing at Atari, like dude, these graphics suck. The Nintendo's so much. Me and my friend, we kind of like laughed. We kind of like laughed at that. Like, why would we ever want? Because at that point, with like after the crash, like Atari was such a joke. Like they were, at least as a kid, and now it's kind of sad. But one thing that for me that I think is more upsetting, that'll make your blood boil, as far as like consoles. If you've watched like the Atari 50, and they just kind of like the devs, like they talk about like the ideas that they had in corporate, like wanting to cut like the size of the thing, like they wanted it to, like there's no reason for it to be that big. They wanted to make sure people knew it was different, but they could have had it be backwards compatible with the 2600, but they didn't want that. It's like, ooh, it's just like
I remember that also, but the 5200, they were talking about how I can't remember, was it Bob Jessop or something? Well, I might be getting his name wrong, but he was saying that he went to Atari and said, we need to make this 5200 backwards compatible, and they said, nah, we're just going to put it out. And then a week before it came out, they came to him and said, we need to make this backwards compatible. He's like, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
This cartridge adapter, which I have over here, which is the size of a house.
Yes.
And I use it all the time because you can use other controllers in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the 5200 controllers suck. So I have it over here, but so it kind of makes the 5200 twice the size. It's huge, but it was backwards compatible,
Yeah, it just makes me, it's just like so disheartening that you kind of find out like Atari started out being this like cool company and allowing like input from the devs and people could show up to work, and then they became all strict and corporate, and then it's just like they kind of just like ruined it. And so I guess when we like see new games like this, aftermarket games, and recharge, like, okay, Atari, at least maybe we feel like there's some redemption, like now we're back into it, and at least there's the one thing I will say that I give Atari, and I will continue to beat this drum huge props for, at least they're doing something with their properties, unlike Nintendo don't know what to do with their old properties. They just they're letting them sit there, or you have to like rent the games to be able to like play them. Right. It's like, really?
I was going to say something about the 7800 also, just real quickly, is when that came out in 86, 87, it was 2 years too late. But those games, I mean, really were more kind of made in like 84, 85, if you think about it. So when those games came out, they were already kind of old, but if those games were out in 84 and 85, they would have been really popular. So, you know what I mean?
Right.
So the fact that they sat on it for so long, they kind of screwed themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And it's just, and I always tell people, and it's sad because I do hear a lot of, I mean, I don't know if Rich does, but I get some Atari hate sometimes from people. And it's sad because a lot of people are just repeating what their other 20-year-old friends said.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up with it. They don't know the long legacy.
Right.
Like I was talking recently about Destructoid. They had an article out recently talking about it had a new Wade Rosen interview in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about this on Atari Newsline. He was talking about a new possible 2600 adapter coming out a little bit. He kind of hinted at it.
Yeah. And
I was excited about that. But the person that wrote this article treated Nolan Bushnell like a criminal. It started out talking about that he was fired They didn't talk about anything good that he did.
Wow.
And we didn't talk about the Warner years at all. It was it was a jump from no one being fired to the bad IPs Atari had in the 90s.
Wow.
Like,
Well, they skipped a bunch of stuff.
You missed like all of the things.
Years, right?
Wow.
And it pissed me off because I was like, it's a good article with the interview, but you know, and I could tell because I'm a former journalist, I could tell they were trying to make the article kind of favor Atari having a comeback with Wade. I get that,
sure.
but you can't glaze over 12, 15 years of pumping out games for these systems. And if it wasn't for Atari, we wouldn't have the industry we have today, because what happened with Atari was devs, you know, left Atari to make Activision.
Right.
Because, you know, they weren't being, appreciated in their games and weren't being talked about. If it wasn't for that one solo thing, you know, we might not have all the companies we have today.
Right.
So really, true. With Atari and people being disgruntled with Atari, but it all came from Atari. So I always tell people, because I was talking to some people about this article in the chat, and a couple of people said I was overreacting, and I might have been, but you know, what really bothers me about it is, I mean, you talk to any other company that's been around 50 years making video games, there's not many. And the ones that have been around that long have made some huge mistakes. And so did Atari, because they had no baseline to go from.
Right.
They started a lot of stuff on their own. So like the Wii U balance board used to be, back in the day, Amiga had out a Joy board, right? In 82, 83. Well, 20 years later, Atari puts out the Wii U balance board and it makes millions. So it's kind of like, and that people forgot that Atari actually started that too. So
I didn't even know. I was gonna say, Nick, that's your next video, the Amiga Joy board.
He may have done one about that.
Maybe he might, or if he did.
I think you know what? He might have actually talked.
He might have actually. Okay, now that I think about it, maybe he did cover that.
Well, I mean,
about it.
I mean, if there was something or someone that had insight, that had done something like write a book about their experiences at Atari, and you wanted to make it almost required reading for people that are looking back, like that didn't have the experience of growing up with it or anything like that, I would instantaneously point to Howard Scott Warshaw's book.
Awesome.
I mean, once Upon Atari is, if you're into Atari at all, it is 100% required reading.
I agree.
And all of those stories that come out of that book, they explain this whole thing that we were just talking about. They explain everything, and it's it makes a lot of sense, about what happened at Atari when all of the things that led to the crash happened, right? And and you don't get that context anywhere else, right? Because everyone blames here we'll go over here. Everyone blames this box over here for the crash. And you see half of it anyway. Everyone blames E.T. the extraterrestrial and Howard, right? Like
what is the name of it? What is the name of the book again?
Once Upon Atari.
Once Upon Atari.
It's so good.
It's
I have to tell you, Rich, when I read that book, it made me realize, and he tells you in the book, he was given just a few weeks to make E.T. He was approached by, is it Steven Spielberg or Steven Spielberg and Atari came to him and said, "You've got so many weeks to make this."
Yeah. And
he was like, "But I normally take 3 months. I'm only going to get 5 weeks or something."
Yeah. So
he was approached like that, and he took it on, and he thought he could do it, and he did do it, and he put it out. The problem was Atari actually shipped it on the wrong variation. It's actually shipped on the hard variation, which is why there's pitfalls everywhere.
Oh no!
But if you read the manual, which people didn't do because you didn't do it back then, and if you switch it to a different variation, it's playable and it's fun. So people didn't know that, and that's a huge mistake. They also made in a deal with Spielberg, I think, and like Warner, they actually made more carts than consoles, which is insane. It was part of their deal. And because of that, you have carts in a landfill, right? Because they couldn't sell them. So it was unfortunate, but he got blamed for all of it. And you know what? He was a great dev that got blamed for all of it, and it's sad. Yeah. He also made Saboteur, and he made Yars, the whole Yars, universe, and he's made some great games. Indiana Jones, I think, and he made a lot of great games. And this game just he gets blamed for all of it, and it's so sad. But if you read that book, he puts you there in that wood paneled cubicle. He puts you there on the shag carpeting whenever he's talking to these people, and it's so much Atari that every fan should read it. It's that good.
I may have to check it out if there's an audiobook, because I know an Atari 50 you talk. Yeah, I may have to listen. Yeah,
there is an audiobook. It's on Audible. Howard narrates it himself, and it's
very cool.
It's amazing.
I read the book twice, but I want to get the audiobook and hear him read it.
No, with me, I just like, for me, I'm one of those weird people, like the way I process, I don't read for enjoyment, but audiobooks I can, or I like video. So that would be good, because I loved hearing him talk on the Atari 50. I loved hearing hearing him talk a little bit, and I feel like we just got a taste of that. It'd be great to hear the audiobook. And But kind of back at back to what you were saying, that they mentioned that a lot in Atari 50 that there wasn't any other blueprint, so it's they were having to figure it out. So it's you have less of a chance for an error. But I'm hoping that there's some universe, there's some timeline where Atari just let the devs just they didn't get in their way. Yeah, we would have kind of loved to see. But to your point though, Ballistik, I wonder that, let's say if that did happen, then maybe Activision wouldn't exist. Maybe a lot of those other companies wouldn't exist, and they would all be they would all be controlled under the juggernaut Atari, and then it would be that would be the trade-off, right? In that universe, you'd get some great games, but Pitfall would have never existed.
Exactly.
Hero would have never existed.
Yep. I mean, Magic wouldn't have been a thing, right? If they were able to keep all the devs together and happy and
true. You should get a commission, because Phantom just bought it, so you should get a commission.
Yeah, man. It's so good. It is really, really good.
It's so good. I've also been reading this book called 8-Bit Apocalypse. I've been talking about this book for a few months because I've been in grad school and haven't had time to finish it. But I've been talking about it for 6 months, I feel like. But it's called 8-Bit Apocalypse. It's about the programmer that programmed Missile Command, and about how he became obsessed with the game, and he had nightmares about the end of the world. And it's really good so far. I really like it. And so that's the second one I've been reading. Just taking me forever to read, because I've had my face in textbooks and stuff. But it's really good too. I almost feel like that they just did that Tetris movie on Apple Plus, and it's so good,
dude.
They should make Once Upon a Atari into a movie, and they should make 8-Bit Apocalypse into a movie. I think that would be great.
Man, that would be cool.
Thank you for plugging the Tetris movie, because I feel, to me, that's my favorite video game movie. I have a lot of love for Tetris and for the Game Boy, and the soundtrack. You can download that on Spotify, which is great. They have I Need a Hero. They have the Russian version, the Japanese version, and some remixes. But what was great, not that it's new, but in the end credits, they have from vinyl with a 7-inch remix of the Pet Shop Boys, and my wife was watching that. So I don't know if she knows a remix, but she's we both love that at the end, because it's true though. You've got the look.
So good.
I want acapella, but I've been listening to that soundtrack, so it's just full of fantastic, just awesome. So that song fit so well there. I don't want to spoil it.
It did, yeah.
At the end, and then how they have especially during the car chase, they had those 8-bit cut scenes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was just, oh my god, that was
where
just,
it was where it was a video game.
Yes.
When they were chasing, yeah.
Yes.
That was really cute. I really enjoyed that movie. And I think it's all true. I don't know how much they embellished it, but man, what a crazy story, right? What a crazy
I think some of it is, because I've listened to some other podcasts and different other sources where they've kind of talked about, talked about that, and I think that I think for the most part some of it, some of it is. I don't maybe some things were embellished, but I think that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
But but that was dude, that was so great. It's Apple Plus is only like $5 a month. It's worth it to get that for $5 a month, and then I say like for Paramount Plus, it's worth it to get for nothing else for the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Right.
Dungeons and Dragons. And then Beavis and Butthead, and then like Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is started up. I'm also a big Trekkie fan, so yeah, lots of random things to plug. But yeah, kind of all in that same.
If they didn't do Once Upon Atari, at least make a movie about E.T. and Howard Scott Warshaw.
They should
at least, because I mean that in itself is a great story. The pressure from Steven Spielberg and Warner. Yeah, and then him being an up and coming programmer who probably had his choice of whatever because he was popular, you know. He was probably in the hot tub sipping the champagne, smoking the doobie, you know, and I think he was, and
he freely admits it. Yeah,
I mean they should make a movie about that. That's fantastic.
They should.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. A dramatization of that story.
Yes,
I mean the way he reads it.
He turned into a psychologist, right? After all that,
yeah, that's right.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
You know,
but, speaking of which, if I can try to remember, there is another like really great kind of within that timeline, more on the computer side show. Did you all ever see like *Halt and Catch Fire*? That was like a very great. Yeah. Like there was only like 4. Mm-hmm. There was only like 4 seasons. It was kind of one of those ones that was kind of like flown under the radar. But it's kind of like about like early internet companies and like kind of like forming like your first kind of like billboard like chat room kind of like type.
Oh, yep.
Kind of, but it's kind of like in that same area. So I'm guessing Ballistik, you were probably born like in us like in 1979 or early like 1980s somewhere. So like you grew up in that age where I guess we were the last kind of lucky generation to have privacy. You know, we knew about which is like crazy to fathom. But at the same time, I think what we really appreciate new technology because we were there for the analog like modems and like the like the internet.
About that is what's really funny about that is that's where my name came from because in 1993 I graduated high school. I was born in 1975. I graduated high school in 93 and my dad said, well, you're 18, it's time to pay rent. And I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Are you kidding me? And so because when I was 15, he made me get a job, and I was actually when I was 14. And he's like, you're a man now, you got to go to work. And so I got a job where he was going to like find one for me. And I was scared of that. So I found a job. I've been working ever since. But when I was 18, I moved out and I wanted a computer. And I was looking in the paper, and the thrifty nickel is what we had at the laundromat, back then. And I found a Tandy 4000 with a 1200 baud modem. And it was used, and it was like $200 or $300 or something. Well, on that computer, I was working at Arby's at the time because it was near where I was living, and Arlington, Texas, where the stadium is actually the Cowboy Stadium is where that Arby's was. It's all gone now.
Oh wow!
But it was like Forest back then. But So I got this computer, and one of my like coworkers was on this thing called a bulletin board system, and I was like, "What are you on?" And it was a BBS. It was called Argus, ARGUS. Mm-hmm. And she explained to me it was this people that got on this software and would chat in the chat room, and they would meet out at a barbecue place once a week and hang out and get drunk. And I was like, "Sounds like fun." So I went, and I was this guy that used to drink too much coffee and would act crazy. So they started calling me Ballistik. So my screen name was Ballistik Coffee Boy in 1993 on Argus.
That's awesome.
And I just kept the name because 10 years later, and I'm a writer too, 10 years later, I had a zine out in Dallas called Pop Art Trash, which is just a name I came up with, which is my company now, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a zine. It lasted about 10 issues. It was like $1. I would put it in laundromats and like bookstores in Dallas. And I actually had like 20 subscribers at one point send me money from around the world. It was kind of fun because I put it in Zine World, which was this publication where everyone put their zine in it, and you could subscribe and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's before kind of what we have now. But so I had a good time making that. It got me through. I've been clean for 25 years. I was a drug addict in the 90s, and so I did this zine as a way of getting over it all. and helping me through it. And so fast forward years later, my dad passed away in 2019 from Alzheimer's. The pandemic happened, and I was trapped at home with no family or anything. And I started watching YouTube. I started watching Mike Tendo Power. I started watching A Coopple of Nerds. I started watching Do You Nerd and John Hancock and Classic Game Room, which is one of my favorite YouTubers. I love that guy. He's crazy. And all these older shows, the No Swear Gamer, of course, is one of those. And I just fell in love with it and said, I kind of want to make my own channel. And so that's where all that came from. I decided to use my handle from 93, and I drew inspiration from Classic Game Room and No Swear Gamer and you guys as well. Mike Tendo Power, everyone. And yeah, just a lot of inspiration. But that's really what got me through bad times as well was geeking out on YouTube and going down YouTube rabbit holes. And I sat there and watched all of Classic Game Room's episodes, every single thing he's done in 10, 15, 20 years. And I was blown away. He's making a comeback right now. He's actually, he's doing shorts right now again after a few years, and he celebrates his 35th or something anniversary. I can't remember what he said, but he's celebrating an anniversary this year. Maybe his 40th. I can't remember.
Oh, okay. Nice.
For doing stuff in the community. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, I was looking at his channel. I get the latest one, like a review of a Ninja Golf for PlayStation 5. Like, huh.
Oh yeah, he just put that out. Yeah.
Is that like a spoof or is that real? Like that really?
Wait, they put Ninja Golf on the PS5? That's
yeah.
You have to watch all his videos about Atari games, and his voice is so deep and it's so funny and this kind of corny. It's you just got to watch it. It's funny.
I'll check it. Oh, it's for Atari 50. Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, yeah.
When I hovered over, yeah, I'm gonna add that to my watch later.
I really enjoy him, but nice. His older stuff is where it's at. You know, like all his stuff. Like he talked about the Vectrex. He talked about the XEGS computer. He talked about the 2600. He talked about everything, and he would review everything. And I think he started out on YouTube like maybe when he was in his 20s, and he's like full on like almost 50 or 50 now or something. I don't know, but he's been around for a long time. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, he's a cool guy. You have to watch it.
I'll have to definitely check it out. Yeah, he's nearing like 500,000 subscribers. So wow.
Yeah, he's been around for I think longer than John Hancock.
Oh wow.
But yeah, he's fun, definitely. He just has the style that's,
cool.
It's absurd, but it's fun.
Well, if Tim because you said it, I was considering. Now that Tim watched it, I have to invest it. But yeah, yeah. Listen,
Tim knows.
Yeah,
nice.
Very, 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 very cool. So one interesting quick thing to pivot a little bit, and we actually Ballistik. I can't remember. The timelines are blurring together. If we'd mentioned this before the show or when you said the first game, but when we talked about like real like arcades or like coin ops, maybe it was before that. Kind of talking about like the space. Maybe it was before the show and like the maintenance or whatnot. But that's something that I constantly think about because I see like how especially like iArcade sadly now is out of business. But who knows? Hopefully that'll have like a second life through through modding it. Rich has like the ultimate game legends. But it's kind of funny because I'm always kind of like torn between that because then I think, well, maybe if there was an arcade one up for the right price. But here's what's kind of like interesting, and I want to know your thoughts here in a second. But like especially after watching a lot of like Retro Ralph, like he's even said like, hey, these are antiques. Like don't buy. Like he said, if it's gonna make you upset that it's what stops working, you have to fix. Like don't buy it. So it's interesting because like sometimes I think a multi-cade and all that would be cool, but I'm like if I saw like a Miss Pac-Man or Galaga for a few $100, like I don't care if it's like scruffy or beat up as long as it works, but. Then I'm kind of torn because a multi-cade would be neat because you can go through different things. But if you do only have that one dedicated game, then you're more likely to play it a lot more, and it would be kind of cool just to be able to jump on it. So it's like, I don't know, like part of me be like, it would be nice to have like something like find one for the right price. That's just a single game, but not too expensive. So
I would say of every because I actually have about 9 arcade 1-ups and like 3 At Games products. And I would say of everything I have, the most versatile thing I would recommend anyone to get is the Arcade Legends, is the Ultimate Legends arcade that Rich has back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On that machine, you could make your own USBs and play whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can't do that in anything else being that easy. It's
Yeah.
got the slots right there, and you can put Coin-Ops X on it. And I mean, it already comes with hundreds of games.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have sticks made for mine for like Genesis, for like Atari 2600, for like for everything.
You can plug them in.
Yeah, and you install the emulator and all that. But it's so easy. And
Yeah. I've seen videos where I think what's it called, like one, where it's called like One Sauce or something, where it's kind of like they say like the difference between that and Coin-Ops X is like Coin-Ops X is more like tested and controlled, but like you can play like some Dreamcast game, like, you know, not everything is stable or different result, but you get like a more variety and a lot of it does work well. So
that's of everything I have, the Legends Ultimate is probably the most versatile thing, and the Legends Pinball is phenomenal too.
Oh yeah,
I had that upstairs. You can buy games a la carte. You can add things to it that they put out, but it's those two systems are the best. Are probably the most versatile systems I would recommend to people. I did start out to get I started out with the Legends Ultimate and then went to the Legends Pinball, and then before you know it, I was getting a Pac-Man arcade 1-up because I'm a big Pac-Man fan, and then a Mortal Kombat 2 was on sale for $300 at Best Buy. I bought it, and then I had to get the Tron cabinet that came out because I'm a huge Tron fan. And I went from there. So I mean, now honestly, I live in a 2,000 square foot 2-story house, and I have no more room left for arcades.
yeah.
I'm gonna do, but I don't want to do it. So
Right.
Apparently, you're the guy that never sleeps. No. I don't know if he probably knows you or not.
He does, but Mr. Postal and I are actually in the YouTuber of the Month contest together.
Ooh.
Right now. And now he's an old friend of mine too. He's one of the first channels I ever saw.
That's cool.
So him and I are good friends. He was also on that Atari show, and so him and I are actually both nominated now for YouTuber of the Month on the Real Bit Wars page. So
that's right. Yeah.
Everyone, please go vote for me or Mr. Postal.
Yeah.
He's fantastic too. So I won't be mad if he wins because he's awesome. So go and vote for either one of us. I'll be cool with that.
Nice.
So he's great. Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. Yeah. No. Yeah. So that's definitely makes some good points on that in Legends. It's just for me, like I think it's for getting a multi-cade, but sometimes I'm like, you know, for like nostalgia, it would be nice to have it like just something that's like one game, but then I don't want to have like any maintenance. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like if I had to miss, like let's say like a miss Pac-Man and the CRT went out, I would like scream. I would like, you know what I mean? So that's
the Legends Ultimate. If you don't have a lot of space and you have a family and you don't want to buy a bunch of stuff, I would go for the Legends Ultimate because you could have thousands of games on it, and you have a joystick. And then you can also upgrade and get other stuff. You have a trackball, so it's.
See, I think what I would do to complete the nostalgia of like the LCD marquee that they have, like of that one on sale, it's like get that, and then probably like really the only like for me the only kind of minor nitpick that I have about it is I don't like the front of the cabinet, like how it just like lists all those games.
Oh yeah, you can change that.
So that's that's what
you can change all that.
That's what I would do. I would pimp it out, get like customs. So like somebody looking at it, like you wouldn't even tell it's like it's a Legends. It's just some cool like multi-cade and
right.
And I think can't you even stream like Steam? Can't you even like stream like Steam to that as well?
Yeah, you can. You can stream things to and from the cabinet. That's a little more like under the hood stuff. It's complicated to get that stuff working. I mean, the straight out to like a YouTube page, that's easy.
Yeah, but if like Donut Dodo and all. Now, like what I think is cool, but it's like that, you know, you have to. It's like really expensive is like the Polycade. because it's kind of like that. Like you can bring your own ROM and you can do more. But I think like their models start like at $3,000 to $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's good quality, but it's like it's
a
like
little,
higher. But you can, but it has like Steam and all that built in.
It's way out of my price range. I actually just got
Ooh.
I just got an iArcade about a month ago before they went bankrupt. So I'm actually doing
rough.
I'm shooting a video on it right now, a review for my channel for this Friday. It's about halfway done. I don't have it posted yet, but it's kind of sad because one of my friends who goes by Obsidian Contraption on YouTube, he was telling me you should get Arcade, man. They're $2.99 right now and they're great. And I was like, I don't really have the money, but okay. And so I got it, and I loved it. And then last week they announced they were going bankrupt, out of business, and I was just devastated. So I sat there and probably spent $300 on games and just bought a bunch of arcade games I wanted from Iron and Toplin, actually, are two of the major ones, and Data East.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sat there and bought a bunch of games, and I freaking love it. It's built so well. It's built much better than any arcade one-up cab. It's very sturdy. Yeah, very sturdy, and and it's like a la carte. Like it came with like a few games, and then you would go buy the other games on their app.
Yeah,
and they would download instantaneously when you bought them, and if you canceled it in 30 minutes, you got a refund. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, true.
So cool.
So I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, no, Tim. Just to give a quick shout out to Tim, he's been killing it lately by like going to different conventions. Like there's usually a certain time of the year where he'll just go to different conventions, and all those videos will roll out. And he like interviews people. It's like so awesome. So that's good to know. But the thing though with IRK, I think like anything else, that they're gonna find a way to jailbreak it where you can put on your own ROMs. And then I think it was Mike. Was it? I can't remember which YouTuber, if it was either Michael B or somebody. I can't remember who it was. You probably know Ballistik was saying that they're probably going to make like an add-on to where you could like switch between the original hardware. Maybe, who was that?
It was Glenn from Glenn's Retro Show.
Oh yeah, somebody. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, there's too many people, so that's at least neat. If you can switch back and like the guy who makes the light guns or something with the adapt. So I think it's a good second light for me. And we kind of talked a little bit about. I think the one downside to the IRK, or maybe why, was kind of its price point. If you because the Dead Cells and the the Space, they all looked really great, but for asking like 800, I'm sure it was worth the quality, but again, to your point, like Legends or something that you can get for like less than half of that, and you could just bring your own games, so that's kind of the downfall, I think, because that price point was just too high.
You know what kind of sucks about it too was our friend Con with Met Gang Games, who did Escape from Popo and all those games, and Doodle Taxi we were talking about. He was actually about to put Doodle Taxi on the iArcade, and he wasn't even told they were going out of business. I was the first one that told him.
Oh wow!
They didn't even tell their devs they were closing shop because he had actually made some updates for Escape from Popo and was going to put them on there. No one even told him until I told him.
Wow.
So that's so he was sad about it because he's losing out on income for another machine.
Sure.
Where games are on. So he wasn't even told they were going out of business.
Yeah.
But
you know what? I thought maybe it was Kong's RS or someone. I don't know. There's a few people have been talking about. There's too many. There's too many things. But so here's an interesting question that I've wondered about iArcade. Is their store or their front, is it too proprietary, or could a developer say, hey, I have a new game that's coming out, I'm releasing it on these platforms, and somehow they make it so you could also buy it and like load it on that? I wonder if other vendors could do that.
What's really interesting about that is the day before they were going to close the store, like last Tuesday night, my friend Obsidian said, hey, I have this friend that's going to put a game out at midnight tonight, and only 20 people are going to get it. Can I send it to you? I was like, sure. And so it appeared on my iArcade, right? Like you leave it on and it just comes through Wi-Fi. So anything you buy, but these people send this to me somehow. I don't know how. And then what happened the next day was iArcade put a update to the system, to get rid of that game and fix some other things. So they actually got rid of that free game, and then and they put out a statement saying it was an accident and put it back. So that kind of did happen. But what's happened now since they went bankrupt is there are people in charge of the store that shut it down. And because after they announced they were going bankrupt, it was open for like a week. So people were buying games left and right. So the store is shut down now completely, but I can still log in and re-download all my games.
Interesting.
But you can't put anything else on there. So what we're kind of talking about in the community is someone coming up with their own store with indie games that you can buy. So, and I know that Glenn from Glenn's Retro Show has a new control deck he's selling, which is supposed to be awesome. He's not making any money off it. He just loves the console.
Oh, very cool.
And he's also talking about making a thing where you switch to Raspberry Pi on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, exactly. So you can still.
I heard them talking about that too.
Yeah. So you can still keep all your games that you bought, and you wouldn't have to like flash over that. And that's great. And that was going to be my next question. That like okay, the company's gone bankrupt and there's no more being sold, but there's plenty of them out there. Like it'd be great to see kind of like an itch.io of like the iArcade where people could put up free games, they could sell their games.
Yeah,
anything that's not copyrighted, of course.
I was watching there's a YouTube show called the iArcadians with Papa Brad. Papa Brad's Gaming. He was talking about this the other night. He said there were only about I can't remember the number. Was it 6,000 iArcades in the wild or 60? I can't remember the number, but there's very few actually that got sold. So the community is pretty small actually, which is sad. I was thinking like why wouldn't Evercade maybe buy the IP to make their own arcade machine to play their carts, or why wouldn't Atari buy it or someone?
6,000.
It's a great 6,000. It's a great cabinet. So if someone would just buy the IP, they would have a cabinet ready and they could put their name on it and put it out there, But that's just kind of a thought that it's just really sad to me that no one was able to rescue them. And,
and so the other thing too, which is kind of funny because I kind of agree, like Retro Ralph said earlier, like the first generation, like iArcade, I think like him and, what's his name that he used to do the show with, that other guy? I can't remember. You know who I'm talking about? His cohort when they had like the Arcade 1-Up show.
Oh yeah.
I really hate it when I can't remember people's names. I watch, but anyways, like he told John or the guy who owns it, the initial is like I think he told it to and Ralph teases. It was he teases Ralph that he told him to his face that the initial design was like that. Like he kind of made him sad because he was ragging on it. Ralph said it's gotten better, but I kind of agree with the initial way the iArcade looks. Like I guess it's fine, but it doesn't bring any nostalgia. Like it's very alien, you know what I mean? Like it's very alien, something you'd see in a futuristic arcade. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think when you're marketing a product to hit on nostalgia, like that just didn't do it. And so then when they came out the second or the next generation, like the taller one, that was cool, but the price is just like Tim said, it grew. Yeah, like it grew on him. So I think that they had a good idea. I don't know. It's just it was just kind of interesting. On what went wrong. And then I've seen I don't know if it's true, but I've kind of heard after the fact, see them like maybe their customer service wasn't as good like initially, and so
what's really bad is they were about to sign a deal and they were actually going to make it to where you could, and actually had this idea with with Arcade 1-Up, because I was on Mike of All Trades chat one time. He's also someone else in the Arcade 1-Up community. Mike of All Trades. He is like a big name in that community. But he said we're talking one night. Right. They actually had like a brand new Arcade 1-Up app on the phone. And I said in chat, it'd be cool if they would make their games playable on any device through that app. And that's kind of what was happening with iArcade actually, was they were about to enter a phase 2 where you could play any game you purchased on any device, like an iPhone or Android phone, just by logging in an app.
Oh, wow.
And they were going to do that, but one of their major backers dropped out, and they lost everything.
Dang.
And it was really sad because it was one person that made it not work. But, it just shows you how, volatile the industry is. And how
Yeah, like Phantom says, he loves his his Dragon's Lair. But yeah, I agree with you, Phantom. But it's kind of the price. I mean, that's I think ultimately that's what killed it. Is it was just like it was kind of like the most expensive of all the ones out there.
I mean, mine was only $299, but it's because and John or whatever his name is, the head of the company. He said they were $299 because they were about to roll out phase 2, and so they were trying to clear their warehouse. Some fans don't believe that; they think that they were just trying to sell them. But anyway, I bought one for $299, and it's I have probably 50 games on it. I love it, so I'm glad I got one. I'm sad it's gone, but I'm looking forward to the community to step up and trick it out and stuff, So.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that is definitely going to be the case for those people, because like you would hate to see a lot of people that invested a lot of stuff in the hardware and then not be able to use it. But I'll tell you that there are people out there that will do all sorts of things for hardware that isn't around anymore, including.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that it's the 10-year anniversary of the Ouya?
Ouya!
Did you guys know that?
No, I didn't know it was the 10-year.
And on top of that, there is an incredible homebrew community for that system.
Yes.
And they're still putting out stuff to this day.
Oh.
And there's another guy out there it's a part of the I'm in an Ouya Discord, and they put out their own store with the entire library that existed on Ouya, plus other sections where they do these game jams every year, and they put out all these different games. And right now they're starting to spin up a 10-year anniversary game jam. So there's a whole bunch of people that are going to do all these new games, and you just go in, and if you have a piece of hardware, you just download the stuff and start playing. And
that's awesome.
and that's just an example of how the community can get together and just give other this hardware that's dead hardware or whatever, just give it legs and run with it, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah. What does Tim say? Yeah. So kind of wishing that that I are going to focus more on indie games, and no, I hear you. That's why I'm glad in Evercade to see them kind of take that kind of
Wizard of Walls was awesome. I remember watching that video on Tim's channel. That was really, really cool.
I just bought that a few days ago.
Nice.
Because it was closing. I was like, I need to buy it. It's $10, but I love it.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting, and maybe they were too far gone bankruptcy, but it wouldn't have been kind of nice if, I don't know, if now that a bunch of people bought it, that would have been it's I can understand as a hardware company if they said, okay, at this time we're not making any more iArcade units. But it's a shame that, because I wonder, you can download what you how much would it just have cost them to keep the store online? You know what I mean? Because it sounds like that there was still a lot of people that love these devices in the community, and publishers like Data East, they wouldn't have cared. Be hell, we'll take money versus no money. There's reasonable publishers that know how to sell their IPs. So it's kind of a shame. Maybe if they would have kept that up longer. It's just kind of an interesting thing, because after that happened, we were like, oh man, what if that were to happen to Evercade or something like that, which would be sad. So here's what's kind of interesting about something like that. I've kind of reflected. So something when you have the arcade, there's tons of games, a lot of them that come out at once, but kind of those of us who've got the Evercade from the beginning, we've been able to get the collections over time. So let's say tomorrow, if they did close their doors, yes, it'd be sad there'd be no new games, but we'd have a huge library of nearly 40 carts to play. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. We'd still have games. Mm-hmm. But to your point, let's say somebody who just got an iArcade, for Christmas, and then they've already spent $800. They may not be able to spend another few $100s to buy the, mm-hmm. So that's kind of the, that's kind of the thing where you may feel trapped. It's well, I've invested this much, I have to invest more, because who knows what the future is going to be like for these devices to be hacked. So
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet Arcade 1-Up lives on.
I had to put a blurb in the chat about the YouTuber of the month that ends in 3 days.
Oh, okay.
So I put in there, vote for me or Mr. Post Style.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Just so, and I don't have the link with me, but it's on my page a few places.
Yeah, I wrote the watch the Real Bit Wars, and an interesting guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually nominated last summer against him. It was me and the Real Bit Wars and 3 other people, and he won.
I threw the channel link in there.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, he went on to become YouTuber of the Year in that contest. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, so
Take a
I was
screenshot.
against hard competition then. I'm against hard competition now. So it's and it's kind of crazy. You can only be nominated for under 1K. I just hit 1K, so this is probably the last time I can be nominated. But I mean, really, it's just all about being nominated. It's so fun. I met so many great people.
That's awesome.
I met Mockingjay YT through there.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know who that is. Oh, he's got a great channel. Cool guy. He streams a lot. And I met so many other great people. And we were actually nominated by Retro Bliss Gaming, who has a bunch of Atari content as well. He's going to be on that Atari show at some point too.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Really, he has some great Atari content as well.
Yeah. See, sorry, no, I have to agree. Yeah, see what Sean. Yeah, and that's like price. So kind of like my PSA. I have to say from time to time for all retro game companies. Technically, it's like playing. Like if you just want to play any type of retro game, you can do so for free, right? It just takes your time. Find some device you can load and play for free. So game companies have to have a reason to get people excited to get like licensed games to do, and the price has to be there. So like iArcade did it right in the easeability where you could like go online and kind of buy. Although I've heard people say like they wished you could like from the arcade machine you just could have bought it in the store to make it even easier. So yeah, but the price that's like the price point, like it matters so much because then you have all those like all those third-party handhelds that are made in China, so it's like you're competing against everything, a Switch, Steam Deck. So which is kind of funny because when I did have the means to get some other system, I was like, like Steam Deck was like at the cap because that's for the $400 one, and plus it's really more than that because of the tax, and you're going to need a micro SD card. It's really $500. But yeah, but like there were times where there were sales, and I could have gotten an arcade, but it was still like out of reach.
Yeah.
And so, I'm kind of glad I did make that decision just because, like, and I'll say this, like, for now, Valve and Evercade are the two companies, or Blaze or whatever, the two companies that I trust because of the reputation. And like, for me, the fact that I could still log in without touching Steam for 5 years, my account was there and I had cloud saves, versus like Nintendo, like makes you pay for that. I'm like, some indie, it was still there. And I was like, oh my God.
I can't stand Nintendo's cloud service. I lost like a year's long worth of what's the sim game called? Animal Crossing. I lost an entire year of Animal Crossing progress whenever I went to the new Switch.
Dude.
And I'm just so pissed off at that. So I'm so angry at Nintendo's how they handle their online presence, transferring. Like I used to have 2 or 3 DSs and couldn't use them all. And I'm like, why can't I play my games on all of these? I couldn't. It was stupid. So yeah, I'm upset at how Nintendo's handled it. But I will always be a huge Evercade fan. I love having physical carts. Yeah. I love that you open these things and you could read about the history of these companies that some of us may not have known about.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. You could read about it in the manual, and I just love it. I mean, the way that they educate people as well. And then what, like Rich always says, it's about discovery. That's my favorite thing about the Evercade. It's all about discovery for me. I get to play these games I never got to play, and some I have such nostalgia for, so I want to play them again. But it's a perfect system. So that's also why I'm a huge Evercade fan.
Oh wow, perfect. I'm I'm glad you like it so much. I've never even recall it. No, but I mean it does have a lot of awesome things going for it. 100%.
Someone was asking me in chat what my favorite Evercade carts were. Can't remember who said that, and it's so hard to pick.
I think it was Ian.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's so hard to pick because I like the Lynx carts obviously because I'm an Atari fan, and just being able to play those games so easily is so cool. Not having to worry about the screen or the cord or just play it on the Evercade. And then also our friend Songbird Productions did one of those carts as well. So I'm a big fan of those two. I like the new Toplin carts I just got as well.
Nice.
And the was it Irem as well?
Yeah.
Yes, that one too. I love that one. Everything new that comes out, I've like been loving. Those carts were great. They had a great variety of games on them, puzzles, platformers, all kinds of. I just loved it. And then I also got the Nuke Dukem VS as well.
Oh, did you? Did you going in there? Yeah.
For that, I can't wait.
Everybody needed. No, I was gonna say no, Ballistik.
I needed an extra one, so
I was gonna say I know what your favorite card is, and I was gonna say you're holding out. I know what it is. It's Mega Cat Studio Ones because of Coffee Crisis. You know that. that's your favorite card because it has coffee in your name. Don't deny it.
I do love that game.
Nice.
No, see, and that's what's funny. Like that's like for me, that's and I like you say, Evercade is like perfect with us. Like I think we know. We look at certain things, but this is like how it's such a diverse group. Like everybody loved that console. Most everybody loved that console. For me, I respect that people do, but I didn't have that attachment with the colors and anything. Maybe with me, like I like the solid black, like with the VS and with the EXP. But yeah, either it's like you look at something and you fall in love with it, or you don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, but I like that though. Like there's like that like diversity because sometimes, people will say like we're fanboys. I mean, we are, but we're very subjective. Like if we don't like something, we let Blaze know. But no, I would say I feel your pain on those transfers, and I keep beating this with a drum when I like on Cathedral when I lost my like 20+ hours saved, and that was that was kind of disheartening. That was like disheartening that I couldn't even play Allah's Awakening on that card because just like putting that card in there was just I don't know. Yeah, we're just kind of sad, and that's I hope that they're going to do some like native support that they fix that before Duke 2. And
I do too. Yeah, it's kind of funny about Duke Nukem. I never had it, but all my friends had it. So I played it on friends' PCs and on friends', but I never had it myself. But I always liked it, so I'm excited for this. It's going to be cool. I had to pre-order it immediately. I was like, I can't buy any carts. I'm just going to get this console right now. So.
Yeah, and that was the thing for me when I first saw it. I was like, all right. I mean, I need a new VS, but do I need another one right now? And then they're like, oh, it's not just the console; it's the console and the 2 carts in a bundle at Funstock. Yeah. And I was like, hey, it's fine.
And there's only 2,000.
Just take. Yeah,
I want to say that I think that sold out faster than even like the founders of the yes.
It sold out faster than the other limited. Yeah, than the purple.
It was gone in like 3 days, right?
Yeah. Well, no, like a day and a half. I think like definitely under 2 days.
It was less than 48 hours.
The purple one took a week. I want to say even the founders edition VS took at least like 3 or 4 days. I think they still has, and then the EXP. I think even that. So I was.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, speaking of limited, like I like how even Hobbies brings up with the discontinuation of the VCS. Should they reconsider and launch a smaller one? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if they could do it, but if you could get just like the VCS for under $100, and if it didn't even come with any controllers, like you could just plug in an Xbox or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, technically, with the amount of stock that Atari still has on hand, and the sales that they've been putting on, you could almost get the base Onyx with no controllers for almost $100. Yeah. It's been consistently on sale on Atari's own website for I think as low as $130.
There was
with no controller.
GameStop was selling them for $100. Maybe I should.
Right. Well, that was the fire sale, right?
I know. Maybe should.
Atari had nothing to do with the price point there. That was just GameStop getting rid of their stock. And it was a flash in the pan, and it was like if you're there, you're there, and if you weren't, you weren't. But as far as Atari trying to do this stuff, I mean that's the misconception, right? And me and BCB have been on that ever since that news dropped, right? It's not that they got rid of. They're like we're not, we're just gonna give up on the Atari VCS. It's not, absolutely not the case. But they're aggressively looking at another opportunity for continuing the manufacture of the console. Of course, they're going to look at all that other kind of stuff. Like they're going to look at everything to make a more efficient way of making the console And I could almost guarantee because of the design the design aesthetic of the Atari VCS, it is technically it's a micro PC, right? Yeah. So if the board and the chipset are too expensive to manufacture because of their age, they could just easily make another custom PCB, another board, and put the more modern hardware on it, and spec it so it runs it runs in parity with the original hardware.
Yes.
Or I mean, if you hit that price point, right? If you found that mid-range level price point, and say in an all-in bundle, with the two controllers, you can hit that $250 price point, right? And now you could say to existing VCS owners, hey, we got this other thing. The old hardware is just too much money to try to remanufacture over and over again. We've got this new spec. It's a little more beefy on the hardware side, and we got games that run a little better. I'd just jump right back in line and get, an enhanced VCS at $250, with more controllers. I would do that.
And they're also making this peripheral apparently for the 2600 games.
Right.
Ooh.
So, and my friend Jerome was saying this in chat. That's a good sign they're continuing too. And if you just look at the past year, they've been churning away at games and releases and picking up IPs, and so
those IP purchases were out of control, crazy.
And the Night Dive as well. They purchased a studio,
right?
So so they're churning ahead, and and actually I think this is the tip of the iceberg with these homebrew games. I think we're going to see a lot more of them, and I think we're going to see them through Atari XP as well, through physical carts.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's coming next. But apparently that they're, and this is kind of something I wanted all along, because Atari has this division called Atari XP that makes physical carts and boxes, right? And my whole thing was, I actually reviewed the 3-cart unreleased game set recently on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And a problem that I had was I had nothing modern to play it on, because you can't use a Retron 77.
Yeah.
It has to be an old console, like a 40-year-old console.
Yeah.
And every one I used, I had to clean. They were gross. And so I was telling Atari, if we're going to spend $200 something on these crazy limited edition games, we need a good way to play them. And a new
100%.
And
so
I mean, crisp HDMI on a modern television instead of having to mess with scalers and stuff.
Well, that was the thing.
That's what's coming next.
What I was going to say, here's what maybe VCS could consider doing, because since they do advertise as a portable PC, well, what if they kind of made a Generation 2, kind of like what they did at the Sega Genesis, like with the third one, they stripped out some things. You couldn't use it like with the Sega CD. What if they made a VCS that you couldn't use as a portable piece? Because I think most people who get it, I wouldn't give a rat's ass to use it for that. Give me just the console. I can't even upgrade the memory. I can't add, give me a good enough amount of, give me the, whatever, the 4 gigs of memory. Give me built-in memory. Let's say I can't upgrade it, and it's just for the VCS, just VCS gaming. I can't use it as a PC, which I wouldn't want to, and maybe have it be in that cheaper rate, make it like a VCS Lite.
Yeah.
Like that, whatever, sure. Make it on cheaper hardware. I would like to see things a little bit more powerful to run stuff, but if they kind of want to sneak,
and
kind of sneak back
I also have a problem with how it's marketed currently, because people don't realize it's a mini PC.
Yeah,
and I understand that like you and a lot of people don't really need that, but
yeah.
I mean, my friend Luke, for example, he's been making his content for the past 2 years off his VCS using Windows.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that came out in the interview with talking to him. He's my best friend. I didn't even know that. So I was like, what? So, and he just upgraded his PC to a more powerful one because he was having some OBS problems. But yeah, so I don't think it's marketed that way enough. If people knew it was a mini PC and the things you could do with it, like I actually have written grad school papers on mine in Debian.
Yeah.
And,
nice.
And I have, a big PMU, and I could play all the Jaguar games on my VCS and Debian. And if people just knew that, it's not marketed that way, and if they made it easier to use as a PC, because that's the other problem, is you have to fiddle around and find out how to do it.
Right.
And so if it just came with the easy, also includes a PC.
That's right.
This would have been awesome
Yes.
to just put in the box.
Just put it in there.
Yeah.
It's
Put
like
it in the box.
$1, right? It's $1. Just put it in there.
You know, that would have been it.
Yes, I agree.
Oh,
But yeah, it's not marketed that way. It should be. And I think it might be worth the value if they did.
Mhm.
But the fact that people don't know it's a PC think it's too expensive. And it is. If you don't know it's a mini PC, it is too expensive. Right. I agree. And so but I agree with what you said, Ed. There needs to be a light version for like maybe 150.
Yeah.
Just have like the VCS part of it, and that's it.
Because then you're at Evercade
on it, and that's it.
Oh, so here's one other thing. So not only did this crack me up, but actually I know Fannin was being funny, but he has a good point. So I know so there's one thing about Evercade that I wish that like Video Games Plus or somebody would kind of do this. And what I'm talking about is what if that it would wouldn't be given the begging, but what if they said, hey, like let's say like I'm bad at math. Let's say if there's like okay, I'll make it simple. Let's say Evercade was only doing 10 carts per year at $20. That's $200.
Right.
What if somebody said like they kind of did that where you just would give them your info once and it's like, hey, we'll send you the 2 carts whenever they come out. And let's say if it's like normally $200, maybe you get it like for $175 with free shipping, and they throw in like an exclusive T-shirt, something like that. I know for like a while, like on the Facebook pages, people were asking for that. Like it would be kind of nice. Like you have to pay at the beginning,
right?
Yeah, pay at the beginning of the year or once every 6 months or something like that, and then you just get all those releases and you don't have to worry about it. And I wish some vendor would do that. So just kind of throwing that out there.
Sign me up, Blaze.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's kind of money anyway,
right?
So,
Well, and you know who would do it? It would be Funstock.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to do something like that for Blaze, it's going to be Funstock. So.
True. I'm kind of surprised that they hadn't, or maybe they would have to calculate the cost in for shipping. But if they just like
that's I think what the rub is it's it's a worldwide company, right? I mean they got customers in the UK, they got customers here in the US and Canada and everywhere, and Spain. They're sending stuff out in so many different places. You would have to separate the shipping cost, the calculated shipping cost from the purchase price of the whatever the subscription would be, right?
Either that, or maybe you'd have to have like 10,000 people sign. Like you'd have to have that many.
Right. You'd
people.
also have You'd have to have the interest.
Yeah, they'd figure like there's gonna be X amount in the UK. That's not going to cost us that much for shipping. That would make up sending.
Yeah,
that would be kind of neat because it's like one of those things you have to go on, you have to order, then it's like, well, who am I going to order it from? Who's the cheapest? And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
about that too is the Royal Mail delays.
Yeah,
I mean that's the one thing about Funstock I can't stand is their customer service. I mean, to me, has been a little subpar, and the Royal Mail delays. I mean, it took me a month to get one of the carts that came out recently. So
it's rough. Ever since the strike, that really hurt because I mean I've been completely blessed. I've no room to really complain because prior to that, because I live on the East Coast of the US, I was getting those carts 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, you were, dude. I know.
For a whole year, I was just it was like they were just boxing it up for me from Blaze to my door.
They probably were.
I mean, it was that awesome, and I wish it would come back. But ever since the strike, you're absolutely correct. The shipping has been really not great.
Listen, I used to get everything from Amazon before Amazon became terrible for Evercade, and then our friend Pete, the Evercanadian, he's like, get it from Video Games Plus.
Yeah, and
free shipping, and that's why I say because the US dollar is worth. I mean, you pay between $35 to $37 for 2 carts, free shipping, and it gets there on the day or the day above. If you pay for like a little bit faster shipping, sometimes you may get it even a couple days earlier than that.
Yeah.
And so and you get points to like earn for stuff. So yeah, I love Video Games Plus. They've never let me down except one time when I can't remember what error it was around Renovation Collection where just Canada was just delayed in getting cards. That wasn't their fault.
I mean, it kind of sucks with, Funstock. I order from them because they always have these freebies and they always have these bundles, and I can't say no. I would love to order from I've got mine too. I would love to order from Songbird in Minnesota. He's a great friend of mine, but he doesn't have the free tumblers and the pens, and it kills me because I want these things.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
And the shirts, you know.
yeah.
No, I get that. I get there's a market for that. But yeah, maybe some of the other vendors, or maybe I don't know. Listen, I kind of look at it. They're in the UK. Blaze is in the UK. They've got that connection. So yeah, like they're like their unofficial vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That kind of like their main unofficial vendor that sells them.
Yeah.
But it is cool that there is that that there is that option where you can get those extra goodies, or you don't have to get those extra goodies, and
I have to get the extra goodies. I love the Evercade.
but yeah, no, I mean, I think right now just to be like a retro gamer is fantastic. Atari is, they're just, they're killing it.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
Hey Tim, it's cool to have. So for me, and then I guess one of the other things I wanted to touch on. So as far as for gaming, one of the reasons I love like let's say like the Steam Deck, and I think the VCS it falls into that category. They're starting to there's some games like Dead Cells or like Vampire Survivors that get a lot of updates or a lot of DLC. So let's say if you could run it on an Evercade, I wouldn't want that because then you're locked to that version. And you want with those kind of games, you want the good updates. And for me, that's like where Steam kind of comes to that category. Like there are those certain indie games that I love that I want to play on a console, and I get like the VS is in that same, kind of like in that same thing. So I think as long as we have like consoles that kind of fit that medium gap that aren't like AAA, but they're not like, but it's not just like old school retro.
Yeah.
For me, that's where I've been just like gravitating. But I flip back and forth. New Evercade cards come out. I'm the only one amongst us who plays them. No kidding. I just only say that because Crow is always behind, but I know like when the Pete said like Diablo 4, I know Richie been busy, but
well, I've been looking at. I made the joke last week on the Evercast. It's like I'm turning into Crow, so like slowly but surely because I just see the cartridges just piling up on the shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, like they're coming in too fast almost. But it's awesome. It's a good problem to have, like
it is. I'll go through, I'll play them, I'll come back to it, and I'll switch to my Steam Deck and I'll come back. But I'll be perfectly honest, like then there are some games like the C64 collections that outside of my first look, I haven't played as much just because that's like I haven't had the desire to go back. And then like you said, Rich, like other collections come out really fast. And then there's other stuff to play. But I'm glad that I still have the car because sometimes like I will go back in, I'll pop that in and I'll be like, oh, okay, there's this other cool game where I want to play like Lee, Bruce Lee or whatever. And
I mean, it's a nice problem to have because back in the day, we would have, I think at one point, Atari might have out 2 or 3 games a year at one point, right? Back in the end of the 7800 days or the drought period after the Lynx or the Jaguar. And I mean, now we have the luxury of, they announced 3 games in one day. And it's hard to cover, but I'm here for it. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's like all or nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like drought or 5 things at once. It's kind of,
for sure.
It's been hard to cover, but it's been fun. It's been really fun. And actually, I had the best compliment the other day. Someone told me they watched my channel or they watched the top 30 VCS games episode I had out on Monday on that Atari show. And he said he ran out and bought an Atari VCS. And I was like, I'm making money for Atari. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Right. So that makes me happy that someone said that. And that really touched me. And then, and it made it worth it, that someone saw the value in it and was like, I'd heard it was crappy, but this looks great. And they went out and bought one. So
no, dude, I know that feeling because somene's like, yeah, because of you, I pulled the trigger on the Evercade.
I love that. That's never happened to me before. Yes. I was like, oh my God.
It's so like, and you know what Sean brings, I know we may be getting close to the end of time, but Sean brings up a good point about like now, like video game companies doing their own direct, like Nintendo, their own like E3. And yeah, Atari should do that. Why doesn't Atari do that?
That actually is a great idea for them.
Yeah, because that's why I asked you about the news. I'm like, don't they have a trailer? I was thinking that they were kind of doing it like how other companies like Nintendo or Evercade drop stuff, where there's like the trailers. Like, dude, they need to do that. Like, that would drive the hype.
That's the one thing that's weird to me about the announcements, and it's that we get so used to it that the news trickles out in an article. Hey, these games are happening, and then we have to wait to get the trailers, and it's like, no, just put it out. Just do it. Just because that's how it's done, right? That's how it's done everywhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they know ahead of time that some of these deals are done, doing these showcase kind of things, and I'm positive that Sean over at Blaze, the reason why the showcase is a thing is because they're testing that model. They're testing like, well, what if we just did what the big three do? Can we get some of those eyeballs? And I'm 100% certain
and they did.
They did. Like there's a whole bunch of people that watched that showcase and saw all those cool things. They learned about Evercade, and at the end, they just got that nostalgia smacked them right in the face. It was like, whoa, we got Duke Nukem too. Oh, like that's huge. I mean, Atari could easily do that.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is that, Wade said recently in an article, they only have 30 employees.
Right.
I think that's what the problem is because I was talking with some of them, like David Page has like 10 jobs.
Yeah.
He's in Discord, but he does 9 other things. So that's the problem is there's no one person that does just all marketing. It's just like, I think it's David doing the newsletter actually.
Oh, wow.
So it's people that have 10 jobs. And so I think that's part of the problem is they need to be making money and need to be hiring more staff to do these things.
Yeah.
Or just have the fans do it, as well. I mean, you and I could do the marketing, Rich.
Absolutely. I mean,
there you go.
Right? We cover every time one of these things drops, we cover it anyway. So
just pay us.
Yeah, why not? Let's just jump in.
And you guys can use. Okay, so I coined a perfect title. If you all collaborate and do something, Ballistic Bacon. There you go.
Now he was first. We could do Bacon Ballistic.
Bacon Ballistic.
Ballistic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But seriously though, shout out to the people that whoever's doing the newsletter, if it's Dave or if it's whoever it is, like super hat tip though as well for the spotlighting of specific people in the newsletter. It was awesome to see Khan's like game in there.
Yes.
I was like, okay, cool. I could see this is their headline titles, Doodle Taxi. And I'm like, yes. I'm so excited for like these indie developers to get like such a great, spotlight. And the second I saw it, I actually messaged Khan on Discord and I was like, hey, did you see this newsletter? And he hadn't seen it yet. So I was like, I sent it to him and he was like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, yes.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, so bacon coffee board. There you go.
I like that.
Nice.
It's a mix of all of it.
It's a good time.
It's a great start. I mean, email newsletter is a great start. What would really be great is some kind of teaser, like they were saying, a showcase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the problems with the VCS is they don't often know a year ahead of time.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, this is coming out next month. So I mean, they're at this point where they're putting games on it, but it almost seems kind of like randomly and quickly. I don't like, it's not planned out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if they did have a plan, they could definitely do a showcase like all the Recharge games coming out in the year. But I don't think they even know, right? So it's one of these things. I don't think it's planned out enough or organized to where they actually know what's coming out in a year.
Yeah,
true. It almost like it's 3 months at a time, or you know what I mean, or something. So I don't know, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but but there's no one marketing person you can email. I always talk to Ashley on the Discord or whoever that person is. It's changed a couple of times, but that person's told me so much information and given me so much heads up on things that I've been very appreciative of that person. So and then and the people in Discord have been nice, and and we talk about all the stuff coming out, and that's kind of where Rich and I hear the stuff.
Yeah,
they're really nice. So
yeah, it's a great community.
Yeah, and all the devs, like Khan reaching out to us for help, and they've all been really nice. So it's been a great experience. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's weird too because growing up as such a fan of all of this stuff, this style of stuff, and being able to kind of live as a part of it, as a fan, and as a content creator, kind of like trying to help amplify this, it's almost surreal.
It is.
Like if I could go back in time and like tell like my 13 or 14-year-old self as I was sitting around with my dual tape deck and a microphone making like fantasy
and your bacon sandwich.
Yeah, like my like making my fantasy radio shows. He's like, yeah, one day you're gonna be talking to game developers and and helping them get their stuff out. And I'm like, what?
Crazy,
okay,
right?
like it's really cool. It's neat. For sure.
It's like you're not going to get paid for it, but it's going to be fulfilling.
Yes.
There you go.
Exactly right.
YouTube, kind of like YouTube, right?
Right.
Yes.
Either or maybe another thing VCS could do. I don't know if it would be as cost effective, but if they could do something that, like, if you owned the games on Steam and then you had a VCS, then maybe like you could like link those accounts so you wouldn't have to like buy everything twice. Or if you owned it on a VCS, you could play it on Steam because then that either that or have their own app that would link it, because then if like you could play like VCS games, let's say like on a Steam Deck, or I don't know, or just link them in some way, it would give people a reason. I don't know, maybe that might
it would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be like as cost effective. So that's maybe they'd be losing money. So I don't know, but
yeah,
I don't know. Steam has more flexibility. Cool. I know we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, but I know Rich, you're later than us. I don't know if we want to go into final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean it is nearing pumpkin time.
Yeah,
for me,
pumpkin time. Yeah.
But it's.
I hate to be the bad guy, but I know somebody has to. Otherwise, we'll talk like another.
Yeah, we'll be like, it's 1:00 in the morning EST now. All right,
I've got to make another news line, so we got to hurry. No, I'm kidding.
Man.
So yeah, we can get into.
Before the final thought. Okay, so I think before the show, Rich said there's three things. There's one question that we always ask, and then there's two things we ask people to do. So before we forget, and don't worry, it's not running around the room naked. No. So
already done it.
he's like I do that every day on my YouTube channel. Okay. But so two things that I just changed. Now that we've really broken the ice is kind of what I meant to say. So kind of two things. So for one, like with the intro, with the calling on retro gamers, we do, if you would like to be added to that whenever me and Rich get our act together, update it, we'll make you full screen and you can say calling on retro gamers however you want. And then the second thing is if you want to say like I am Retro Kill -9 or however, if you want to give us a calling on retro gamers and Retro Kill -9 and become a meme on the show and on Evercast, then
Yeah, definitely.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it's like literally every one of our guests.
No one has said no yet.
Has done both. So
there we go.
You want to do them both?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, go for it.
What do I need to say the first time?
The first one, calling on retro gamers.
Oh, just say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Calling all retro gamers.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It was just tricky because I know you were waiting for us to say it, but I didn't want to
I don't know how to
talk
say
over
it.
time.
And then,
if you're good at that,
have you ever seen any of the? Well, yeah, you've watched the Evercast, right? So you know about the Retro Kill -9, right?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Like how you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, any way you would like to, but yes.
Oh man, I need to practice for this.
Do you need some inspiration? Do you want to see a few people who have done it, and then you can?
Sure.
Okay. We'll show a couple here.
Retro Kill -9.
That's good.
Yeah, or another one.
Kill -9.
I didn't mean to play that one, but okay. I thought it was just going to be the single one. But yeah, there you go. Did them all at once. I forgot that I did that one recently. So however you want to do it when you're ready.
That's a hard act to follow. Gosh, how am I going to do it? Retro Kill -9. I don't know.
Perfect.
That was pretty awesome, actually.
How about Retro Kill -9?
There you go.
Nice.
I feel like I look stupid when I do that.
It's all good.
Perfect.
It's all good. So we had when we had Scion, he did like 7 takes or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
All sorts of different voices.
I feel like I need 20 more.
Yeah, he was really getting into it, like cracking himself up. It was
pretty good.
It was so much fun. I think I have 4 of them clipped and I have 2 uploaded.
Yes, Phantom.
Officially, yeah.
You're in.
How about this? Retro Kill -9.
Here, wait.
With a copy on my face.
Okay, no. Do that again.
Okay. Retro Kill Dash 9.
There we go.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I don't make it with you being full screen, then if I try to start, then you really will be 8-bit. So,
I'm used
But
to it.
It's funny because with Super TurboGrafx 64, like before we started, I think I might have weirded him out because I kind of told him all that. I was like, yeah, okay. It was just kind of,
It's
I was
a
like,
lot
I
of
hope I didn't
pressure.
scare this guy off.
It's a lot of pressure to do it all of a sudden.
I know.
But it makes
I
it
know.
fun too. So it makes it fun.
Yes.
But actually, the funny thing is, like, we didn't I think we started doing it like when Tim came on after Ralph. Like that clip that I had from Ralph was when he was able to do live shows before his new job to travel a lot. So, so yeah. And one day we plan on changing the intro and adding all that extra fun stuff.
Yes. Ooh. I've got an idea that just popped in my head.
Yep.
Yes, this could be good, actually.
Nice. Okay, there we go. Sorry, we have too many banners.
All right.
Believe me, I could easily talk another like hour.
Yeah. So the final thoughts segment is usually just like what you got coming up.
Plugs.
This is the plug your things section before we head off. So, do you have anything in the pipeline that you want to plug? PCB?
So much stuff in the pipeline. Tomorrow on Wednesday, I've got my latest episode of Expresso. It's XPRESSO. It's my 5-minute Atari game reviews.
Oh, nice.
And I'm doing some cool ones, some like imports coming up.
Nice.
And then I'm doing my Playdate special after that, my 5-minute Playdate game review called Crank. And because you use a crank on it. And that's coming up. Some people think it's dirty, but it's not.
Yeah, that's great.
And then on Friday I have my BCB episode every Friday, which is general gaming and Atari and everything. So this Friday I'm talking about my Retromania wrestling cabinet from Evercade.
Nice.
I'm still working on that tonight and tomorrow. I got a lot to do on it, but that's coming out Friday.
I don't know what happened.
Is it him or is it me?
I don't know. No, it's both of us. But like, where'd he go?
I don't know. He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
He'll be back. What do you got going on your channel next week, Rich? While we're waiting?
Yeah, sure. So the rest of this week is the Too Many Games takeover on the channel. Tomorrow, we're diving back into the paper side of things, where I look at a draft deck that I drafted while at Too Many Games. So it was one of the last things that I did during the day was I went into a Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth draft, got 3 draft packs, and I'm just going through to see whether or not the draft was successful. So it's actually it's almost a challenge. So those that watch, you can rate my draft. Did I do a good job? Did I not do a good job?
Ooh. I'll get out my big red pencil.
Yeah, like deck building versus also my ability to draft things, because I knew I wasn't going to perform well in the draft. So I was like, well, when I'm opening these packs, I mean, how many rares or mythics or whatever can I get there? So that's it. So I'm doing that tomorrow. There is a poll currently.
Sorry.
It's all good.
No worries. Oh no!
Oh, no.
You know what? I was having these little bit internet problems earlier. I was like,
oh.
If you can hear us, Ballistik, it's cool. We get it.
Yeah. So then there's a currently on the channel, on the Bacon Ice Cream channel, there's a poll up right now for what the Thursday video is going to be, which I will record tomorrow. And what the poll options are: what do you want to see on Thursday? Currently at 50%, coverage of an NES indie game that might be a good fit for Evercade is in the lead. A story time video with photos and video from the show floor is at second place at 28%. And the coverage of a cool puzzle game that might be a good fit on Atari VCS is 17%. And then like, what else do you like? I wanted to talk about something else, kind of thing.
Love it.
So that's a pretty decent stuff. Oh, he's back. Hey,
Sorry about that, guys.
it's all good.
No worries. No
Okay.
worries.
And then of course on Friday is Restoration Friday. So we've got another episode of Retro Rich's Restorations that some people have already seen because they are members of the Good Times Club. So it's pretty good times. It's pretty good times. So that's what I got. That's what I got going on. So
Nice.
man, poor.
I know. I
BCB.
feel his pain. I feel his
Poor
his
BCB
pain.
is just getting annihilated on this.
That's why we love the internet.
Right?
Oh man.
So,
Oh man. Well, so I guess see if he comes back. Get the internet problems off. So real quick. So on the Evercade Effect. So yeah, this week it's a very short. It's a minute video, but a lot of effort was put into it because it's the trailer. Editing of like lots of like
nice
clips and music. So yeah, I really love it because it's like it's highlights and all that. And
it's the new channel trailer.
Yeah. I don't like my old when I have the old one with the old layout. Even though I love Star Trek with the poster, like I cringe and all that. So I got that, and then we'll see if we can bring. Okay, we'll see if he's stable.
I'm on my iPad.
You're on your iPad.
He keeps switching devices. It's like laptop, phone.
I don't know what's going on over here.
No worries,
wow.
no worries, man. And then, so yeah, I'll have that out this week. I think the week after that, I'm gonna do a chill and chat, maybe later in that week. But just a friendly reminder that this Saturday, Rich will be hosting Evercast, so it'll be, he'll be stuck with Pete and Crow. No, it'll be them three. And then the week after that, because of us being in undisclosed locations and obligations, then we're gonna be off. So we'll be on this next week, and then we'll be off, and then we'll be back again. Which we usually take like I think a break in the summer and all that.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now that your internet connection, hopefully, or device is stable enough, Ballistik. I forget what you were you were talking about like your Fridays, and then I think we lost you. So whatever you want to continue plugging.
Yeah, I apologize. My laptop battery died, and every time I plug it in now, it dies within 30 seconds because it's too much for it, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, this Friday I have my iArcade Retromania Wrestling review, which is actually behind me, but it's turned off.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then so that's cool. That's coming up. And then on Sunday I have my Java Junction episode, it's a new series I'm doing about vintage computing and thrifting for old software and my coffee cade upstairs, my arcade. So it's about arcade and old PCs basically, and chat. And then on Monday on that Atari show, I'm doing my first part, one of two, of me and my friend Luke from Luke's Awakening. I was telling you about, and
yeah.
We went through all the Jaguar games, and we talk about that and childhood memories and content creation and all kinds of stuff. So it's really cool. He's a really good guy, and he's one of my first best friends I made on YouTube. Really,
wow,
he still is, and he's cool. So he's really not. He's been helpful and he's been supportive of my channel the whole time, as I am of his. He's also a great dad and just a great person.
That's awesome. And
so I really enjoy him. If I win YouTuber of the Month, I'm going to nominate him for July. He's one of the people.
Nice.
Very cool.
But yeah. So then there's also YouTuber of the Month going on that ends the end of the month. So please go vote for me on the Real Bit Worse page or Mr. Post Style, who's a great friend of mine. I'm good with either, really. Gosh, what else is going on? Oh, I just hit 1K, so there's that too.
Yeah, congrats. Yeah, that was awesome when you tweeted that out. I was like, woohoo, that's hopefully I'll be right behind you. I'm like around 709, 710.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, it seemed to go by really fast after 7,800 for some reason. I don't know why. But it's one of these things where some people might think it's easy, but it's not. This is hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work to be pumping out stuff and promoting yourself all the time. It's hard.
Oh, it is.
Especially with the job. And I know you guys have a family too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even have a family. I'm single. But I'm in school. It's been hard because of that. But it's hard work. And only someone with a passion can do it. And us three definitely have it,
Oh, yeah.
It'll definitely happen. Just keep being yourself.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Because for me, and I think it was important to where, like, I knew that Evercade is like a niche product and it has been challenging having a channel, like doing nothing to that. But over time, now that it was kind of funny because I forget, me and Rich were like texting, or I forget what I was asking. It was when I was around like 500 subs. He's like, "Dude, you have a following now. You can do whatever you want." Something like that. Like, oh yeah, So it's great now that it's not as not as much pressure that I know that I have dedicated people that will do that, and it has been difficult. But I appreciate every single sub. And so Phantom, yeah. So I love that you say that. Please, I am a huge Star Trek fan.
I am too.
I love Star Trek over Star Wars. They deal with they deal with modern issues and things, and Strange New Worlds. Like that's why I've been keeping Paramount Plus, and it's great because they can address. Like real world problems, but if they say it's like an alien race, and they can get it. So there's a lot of cool like politics and things, and so much so that when I watched I watched like the last Picard, like the fact that they dug everyone out, everyone at their old age with gray hair, brought them on. It was just so epic in the way that ended. It was just kind of funny because like my wife did end up watching the finale with me, but she before she started like watching the first season of Picard and had to bail because she's like, "Do you have to get to know the Star Trek universe?" And I'm like, "Yes." That's the one thing I tell people like about Picard. You have to be very familiar with Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, and Voyager because of the whole like 7 thing. So yeah, but it's so worth it. So yeah, no, I love for me like that's like one of my top tier like things is like Star Trek.
I have to tell you, Ed, sometime about I used to be in a Star Trek and Doctor Who fan club in Dallas-Fort Worth about 30 years ago. And nice. I went to so many conventions. I actually sat on Deanna Troy's lap and forced shots down Worf's throat. I'll have to tell you this sometime. It's a lot of fun stories from back in the day.
Dude, we will. Okay, so because we're in final thoughts and Star Trek was
we'll do it later.
So we can. So I will say, like, you can go to different conventions and you can like pay to see different people for like there are like very like I know you can they have like the captains thing where sometimes it could be like anywhere from 100 to 150, or you can see like all the captains, but like. To see like Jean-Luc Picard, like oh my god, like to be able to like shake his hand, get like a like that would be, or if you could like if they had him, Janeway, if they had all of them, that would be amazing. But yeah, that would be the one like fanboy thing that I would pay money to.
I got to shake Gene Roddenberry's hand before he died.
Ooh,
and that's something that I'll take to the grave. That was awesome,
dude. That's a huge.
I was in a random line at a convention, and there he was. I was like, oh, I didn't have anything to sign. I just shook his hand and said thank you.
Yeah.
But but that was probably the. And then I also got to party with Brent Spiner too. Data.
No kidding. No kidding. Okay, that's what I was. It's funny because I know people more than I was going to say. Yeah, isn't that? But yeah, I think it's great. They brought everybody. They brought everybody back and all that. But yeah, Star Trek. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think there's always going to be like some version of it. Hopefully.
Oh, I hope.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a huge Voyager fan. That's probably one of my favorite. I like Voyager and Next Generation and the original probably. Those are probably my 3 favorites. But they're all great. I like all. So it's hard to.
Star Trek cast. Yeah, no, they all have different things. The one thing I will say, like Deep Space Nine is very unique. Like it's one of the few. It's one of the few shows or especially unique Star Treks where they will like it's an ongoing story. And that's when they had like 25, 30. So yes, for like longer thing, yes, you do get like some stinkers or like the Ferengis like mess around. I mean, there's like some throwaway episodes that don't fall into the story, but man, they do some callbacks like way to the beginning, and it's just like
yes,
it's crazy nuts. With that, I'm sure you can still watch it somewhere, but I know like a long time ago on the History Channel they had like a 2-hour. It was like a 2-part 2-hour special of Star Trek. And they kind of talked about like the different captains, and after Roddenberry passed away, how actually like Next Generation got better because like he didn't want conflict with the characters, and like his son, which is kind of funny, like and like his son didn't even really even know Star Trek, and didn't even like kind of resented his dad a little bit because he was away. It's like crazy. Like you definitely have to, for those of you who haven't watched that, and
love Star Trek. I'm like.
We could do a Star Trek cast, but yeah.
I've been a Doctor Who fan since 1985 when I was 10.
Oh, nice.
So I met all the old doctors pretty much back in, or not all of them, but like half of them.
Dang.
And the many conventions. I put out newsletters when I was 15 and all that stuff. But
I used to watch Doctor Who back in the day, and you just kind of like suspend belief and like accept of like the low budget that was part of the charm, and it was
Gotta
like
accept it
on PBS.
Yeah, you just gotta accept it. It's all about the characters and the story
Mhm,
back
mhm.
then. And then nowadays it's every 2 seconds there's something happening. So it's a different show now, but it's still great. And it's still going on. I think it's celebrating its 60th anniversary this year.
Nice.
So crazy.
Yeah, that's epic when stuff like that can continue on like that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. All I can say is like as far as like celebrities and stuff, like when Patrick Stewart passes, like that'll be a sad day because he's one of the few.
Yeah.
he's like really like one. I mean, anybody from that cast, but there's something special about him. Like that's what I was gonna say. Like doing voices like in Family Guy and just like he's not afraid to like make he's not afraid to make fun of himself if you follow him on Twitter or social medias. And
I remember being in like junior high and 7th or 8th grade. I went to the car and Mama told me that Lucille Ball died. Her and I, like from I Love Lucy, her and I cried for a couple of days. She was like a family member. And that was probably the first celebrity I cried over like that.
Yeah.
Whenever he dies, I'll probably cry too.
Yeah. Patrick Stewart, I would love to meet. Like I would like pay whatever that captain's pass to get like a picture, autograph, selfie. Like that's
and probably William Shatner too. He's important to me too.
Yeah.
He is, but let's just like the I don't know, like as far as like the real actor isn't as likable as like that's
I totally agree.
Star Trek captain, Shatner, like compared to like Patrick Stewart, that's all I have to. I
agree with you.
There may have been a critical young rich error made directly involving William Shatner. That's a story.
We'll have to hear about that. Yeah, last season of Picard. Like, you know what? The thing I think is, and I know we're past time, is great about that show. I'm glad that everybody was still alive that they brought back.
Yes.
To be able to be like, I kind of feel like if they had waited another 5, because you never know, like people at different stages of life, people's health, you never know. So I was glad they're able to do that, and without spoiling anything. I love that the way that they ended that, they paid tribute to the way that they ended like the Next Generation. Which was like super.
I haven't seen it, so I want to see that last episode. I haven't. I'm still working my way through because I got behind, but
that's why I wasn't sure. So I'm glad I didn't say it. But you'll know exactly what I'm.
I can't wait.
You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The thing.
Yeah.
Tribute and all that. Cool. Well, is there anything else, or is that we went off the rails for Star Trek, but no regrets. Thank you.
I think we've.
All right, fan of fiction, and that's the thing. Once we get into final thoughts, anything goes. We talk from hot dogs to Star Trek. Yeah, that's how we start the show with hot dogs. We end with Star Trek. Everything. We hope you guys enjoy the fillings in between. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me on, and I had a great time. And Rich, it was great to have you on that Atari show recently.
Absolutely,
had a good time. And I'll ask you to come on too at some point, Ed.
Oh heck yeah!
Because I know you have a lot of Atari memories I want to hear.
Yeah, 2600 was my first console.
See, I didn't realize that for some reason, and you told me that on the Evercast, I think, or somewhere recently, and I didn't realize that, and I was like, wow, I need to talk to Ed. So yeah, so I'm
that was my first console. My first exposure to games actually was playing Robotron and Frogger like on my dad's like first like IBM. So that was kind of like or maybe it's kind of weird, or that maybe we had them both at the same time. But I think that might be my first memories. But yeah, it's all good stuff. But yeah, definitely Atari 2600. Like I had it, a few friends had it, and yeah, no, there's definitely stuff I could talk about with that.
Awesome.
But I'll have to sit my lip, or we'll be here another hour.
Mine too. Right. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming in and hang with us. Thanks so much to the chat. You guys have been epic all night. Yeah. It's been awesome. So
and keep up the great work with the Evercast. It's my Saturday morning cartoon, so you guys do a fantastic job. So keep it up.
Thank you. That means a lot to us.
Yeah, we gotta get you to hang out over there one day.
As well as Crow and Pete too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for
those
sure.
other guys.
All right, guys. Well, thanks once again to you guys and to BCB. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later on Calling All Retro Gamers.
And sub to us if you haven't yet.
That's right. Hit those buttons.
Yep.
You guys.
Subscribe.
Calling all retro gamers. This concludes our broadcast day.
Click.